I stared at the text message on my phone, reading it for the third time, as if the words might somehow change. We want a peaceful Thanksgiving with your sister's family. Maybe it's best if you skip this year. The message stings. After years of being the family scapegoat while my sister Rachel gets praised, this final rejection cuts deep. Sitting in my newly inherited French villa that nobody knows about, I make a decision. I text back, "Enjoy." Then open my contacts list. If they want space, I'll give them exactly what they asked for. The November wind rattled against the windows of my villa in Provence as I set down my phone. My hands trembled, but not from the cold. 6 months ago, I sat in a mahogany-paneled office in Boston, while Mr. Harrison, my godmother Eleanor's attorney, read her will. The words still echo in my mind. To my goddaughter Jana, who has shown grace under pressure and kindness, despite neglect, I leave my estate in Provence, France, including the 18-room villa and its surrounding 20 acres of vineyards. Eleanor had seen everything. Every Christmas when my parents fawned over Rachel's mediocre report cards while ignoring my dean's list achievements. Every birthday where Rachel's celebration lasted a weekend while mine got a store-bought cake after dinner. Every family gathering where my accomplishments were dismissed as showing off, while Rachel's smallest efforts earned standing ovations. The villa was worth $3.2 million. I'd spent the last 6 months quietly renovating it, learning French from Marie Claire, the local baker, and turning the East Wing into a boutique rental property. The income was already exceeding my corporate job back in Boston. I'd planned everything perfectly for this Thanksgiving. 15 airline tickets sat in my desk drawer purchased last month. First-class seats for my parents, grandmother, aunts, uncles, cousins, even my brother Marcus if he could get leave from his deployment. I was going to surprise them at Thanksgiving dinner, hand out the tickets, and show them that their disappointment daughter had built something beautiful. But now those tickets would go unused. I walked to the drawer and pulled them out, fanning them across the antique desk. Each one represented hope for reconciliation, for finally being seen as worthy in my family's eyes. My phone buzzed again. Rachel, of course. "Mom told me you're not coming, probably for the best. You know how you get around the holidays." How I get that would be quietly helpful organizing everything while Rachel showed up last minute with a bottle of wine and complaints about traffic. I crumpled her ticket first. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I sat in a villa that would make my status-obsessed mother weep with envy, planning to share this blessing with people who couldn't even pretend they wanted me at their table. Eleanor's letter tucked in my bedside table suddenly made more sense. "My darling Jana, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. But I've watched you long enough to know that you'll try to share this gift with those who've hurt you. Don't. Build your own table. Fill it with people who see your worth. The villa isn't just walls and vineyards. It's your chance to stop auditioning for love you'll never receive." I'd thought she was wrong, thought that maybe this inheritance would finally make me worthy in their eyes. But as I looked at those unused tickets, I realized Eleanor knew my family better than I'd admitted to myself. My laptop sat open on the desk, showing the villa's Instagram page I'd been building. 47,000 followers in 6 months, all organic growth from showcasing the renovation process. My parents didn't even know I had an Instagram. They certainly didn't know about the book deal I just signed to write about restoring a historical property or the TV production company that wanted to film a documentary here. I pulled up my contacts again, scrolling past my parents' names. There were other numbers here, people who'd been pushed to the margins of our family just like me. My finger hovered over Cousin Marie's name. She'd sent me a message last week, asking about Thanksgiving plans, mentioning she hadn't heard from my parents yet. The decision crystallized in that moment. If my parents wanted their exclusive, peaceful Thanksgiving, they could have it, but I wouldn't spend mine alone. I'd build my own table just as Eleanor suggested. Only this time, it would be in a French villa they knew nothing about with family members they deemed unworthy of their precious, peaceful holiday. I pressed Marie's number and listened to the international ringtone. While I waited, I looked at the remaining airline tickets. Maybe they wouldn't go to waste after all, just to different names than originally planned. Jana, Marie's voice bubbled through the phone. I was just thinking about you. Have your parents mentioned anything about Thanksgiving? I haven't heard a word, and it's only 2 weeks away. I smiled genuinely this time. Actually, Marie, I have a proposition for you. How do you feel about spending Thanksgiving in France? Marie's silence lasted exactly 3 seconds before she burst into laughter. France? Are you serious? Wait, what do you mean, France? I walked through the villa as we talked, my footsteps echoing on the restored marble floors. It's a long story, but the short version is I inherited a place here. I've been planning to surprise everyone, but apparently I'm not invited to Thanksgiving this year. Mom wants a peaceful holiday with just Rachel's family. You're kidding! Marie's voice dropped, anger creeping in. They actually told you not to come 2 hours ago via text message. That's cold even for Aunt Patricia. Marie paused. Actually, you know what? I haven't been invited either. I kept waiting for the call, thinking maybe they were planning something special since Uncle Robert is finally retired, but nothing, not a word. My stomach tightened. Marie, when was the last time you talked to them? Labor Day picnic. Rachel made some comment about my divorce being embarrassing for the family image, and your mom agreed. I left early. I stopped walking, standing in the villa's grand foyer. They're shutting you out too. Seems like it. Hey, were you serious about France? Because I have vacation days saved up, and honestly, spending Thanksgiving anywhere but at their table sounds perfect right now. Dead serious. The villa has 8 guest suites. Bring the kids if you want. I hesitated. Actually, can I ask you something? Have you talked to anyone else in the family recently? Uncle Frank, Aunt Susan. Marie's laugh turned bitter. Funny you should ask. Susan called me last week. She mentioned she and Frank were thinking of taking a cruise over Thanksgiving because, and I quote, Patricia made it clear they're downsizing the holiday this year. The picture was becoming clearer. My mother wasn't just excluding me. She was curating her guest list like a social media feed, keeping only the images that made her look good. Give me Susan's number, I said, already knowing what I'd find. 30 minutes later, I'd confirmed my suspicions. Susan and Frank had received a polite but firm message about Thanksgiving being immediate family only this year. My grandmother Rose had been told it would be too stressful for her to travel at her age, despite her being healthier than most people 20 years younger. Even Marcus, my brother stationed in Germany, mentioned in his last email that Mom had suggested he not try to video call during dinner because the connection issues would disrupt everything. Each conversation revealed another rejection, another family member deemed insufficiently important for my mother's curated holiday. By the time I'd worked through my contact list, I'd identified 12 family members who'd been essentially disinvited from Thanksgiving. I created a group text, my fingers flying across the phone screen. Hi everyone, I know this is unexpected, but I recently learned I'm not welcome at this year's family Thanksgiving. From what I'm gathering, I'm not alone. I happen to have a place in Provence, France, and I'd love to host anyone who's interested in a different kind of Thanksgiving. Fair warning, the dining room table seats, 20 the wine cellar is fully stocked with local vintages, and the only requirement is that you come as you are. The responses started immediately. Uncle Frank, Patricia told you not to come. That's rich. Count Susan and me in. Cousin Marie, already packing, the kids are ecstatic. Aunt Linda, wait, you have a place in France, and yes, absolutely, yes. But it was my grandmother's response that made me cry. Grandma Rose, my darling girl, I've been sitting here dreading another Thanksgiving pretending Rachel's husband isn't insufferable while your mother critiques everyone's life choices. Book me on the earliest flight possible. Within an hour, I had a confirmed guest list of 13 family members, including myself. The excluded, the critiqued the ones who didn't fit my mother's vision of the perfect family gathering. We compared notes in the group chat, and the pattern was undeniable. My parents had systematically uninvited anyone who might disrupt their image or challenge their narrative. Marcus couldn't get leave but promised to video call. His wife Keiko messaged me privately. John and Marcus has been so hurt that they keep finding excuses to exclude us. They've never really accepted me, have they? I stared at her message, remembering all the times my mother had made subtle comments about Keiko's accent or suggested she was trying too hard with her homemade Japanese dishes at potlucks. No, I typed back, they haven't. But you're family to me, and you're always welcome here. As I booked flights and arranged airport transfers, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't about revenge or proving a point. This was about choosing to create the family gathering we all deserved but had never gotten. A table where Grandma Rose could tell her stories without being interrupted, where Marie's kids could be kids without being shushed, where Frank could wear his comfortable clothes instead of the tie my mother always insisted on. My phone rang. Mom's number flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Jana, I got your text saying enjoy. I hope you're not being dramatic about this. You understand that sometimes we need to keep things simple. Rachel's been having a hard time and she needs our full attention. Maybe we can do lunch in December. Lunch in December. After 29 years of being the afterthought, I was done accepting crumbs disguised as invitations. I deleted the voicemail and went back to planning a Thanksgiving that would celebrate the family members who'd been deemed too complicated, too imperfect, too real for my parents' simple gathering. The villa's chef, Henry, was already planning the menu when I told him we'd gone from 2 guests to 13. His eyes lit up. Madame, a proper family gathering, the kitchen will sing with joy. We'll prepare a feast that honors both your American traditions and our French hospitality. As the sun set over the vineyard, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, I stood on the terrace and felt Eleanor's presence. She'd known this day would come. Not the specific details, but the moment when I'd stop trying to earn my place at a table where my seat was always conditional. My phone buzzed with another message in the group chat. Cousin David Marie's brother. Just heard from Mom. I'm in. Fair warning, I'm bringing my boyfriend. If that's a problem... The only problem, I typed back, will be making sure we have enough champagne. Can't wait to finally meet him. The responses flooded in heart emojis and excitement from family members who'd learned to hide parts of themselves at my parents' table. David had been dancing around his relationship for 3 years, never quite finding the right time to tell my parents. As I finalized the guest list, I realized something profound. My parents had done me a favor. In their quest for a peaceful Thanksgiving, they'd freed me to create something better, a celebration where peace came not from exclusion and perfection, but from acceptance and authenticity. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I was in the villa's wine cellar with Henry selecting vintages for dinner when my phone rang. Aunt Susan's name appeared on the screen. Jana, honey, I need to tell you something, but I don't quite know how to say it. Susan's voice carried an unusual tension. I stepped out of the cellar into the garden the November afternoon, crisp but sunny. What's wrong? It's about Rachel. I saw her yesterday at the casino in Atlantic City. She was at the high-stakes blackjack table, and Jana, she looked terrible, hollow eyes, shaking hands. When she saw me, she practically ran. The information didn't compute. Rachel, the golden child, the one with the perfect marriage and stellar career, gambling alone on a Tuesday afternoon. Are you sure it was her? Positive. She was wearing that designer coat she wouldn't shut up about at Easter. But here's the thing, when I mentioned it to my friend Marcy, who works at the same tech company, she said Rachel hasn't been to the office in months. Marcy assumed she was working remotely, but... I sank onto a stone bench processing this revelation. Susan, what exactly are you saying? After seeing her at the casino, I did some digging. Called in a favor from my friend who works at the courthouse. Susan paused. Rachel's husband filed for divorce 3 months ago. It's public record. And Jana, he cited excessive debt and financial deception. The perfect sister. The one whose life my mother held up as the gold standard, the reason I was never quite good enough. My mind raced back through recent interactions. Rachel's Instagram had been suspiciously quiet. She'd missed several family events, always with elaborate excuses. There's more, Susan continued. I ran into your cousin Pete last week. He seemed uncomfortable when I mentioned Thanksgiving. Finally admitted Rachel had borrowed $15,000 from him in September. Swore him to secrecy, said it was for a house renovation. Pete gave her $15,000. He's not the only one. I've been making calls. She's hit up at least 6 family members that I know of. Different stories each time. Medical bills, investment opportunities, emergency repairs. Jana, I think she's in serious trouble. I stood up, pacing the garden path. Do my parents know? Susan's laugh was humorless. Are you kidding? She's got them completely snowed. Posts old photos on Facebook for them to see, tells them about promotions and vacation plans. Your mother brags about Rachel's success to anyone who'll listen. The irony was staggering. Here I was excluded from Thanksgiving while secretly managing a multi-million-dollar property and building a successful business while Rachel, the star child, was drowning in deception and debt. And our parents had chosen the comforting lie over the complicated truth. Susan, why are you telling me this? She sighed. Because I'm tired of watching your parents hurt good people while enabling destruction. They've spent so long polishing Rachel's image that they can't see the tarnish underneath. Meanwhile, they push away anyone who might disrupt their fantasy. After we hung up, I sat in the garden, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of purple and gold. Everything made sense now. My exclusion from Thanksgiving wasn't just about favoritism, it was about protecting a narrative. I was too independent, too unpredictable. I might ask questions, might notice the cracks in Rachel's facade. Henri found me there an hour later, bringing a cup of tea and a gentle reminder about tomorrow's preparations. As I walked back to the villa, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Sis, weird question, but has Rachel asked you for money lately? She hit me up last month, said she needed help with a medical procedure. Sent her $5,000, but now I'm wondering. I called him immediately. The conversation confirmed what I was beginning to understand. Rachel had been spiraling for months, possibly longer, maintaining an elaborate charade while bleeding money from anyone too polite or too caring to refuse. But the thing is, Marcus said, his voice heavy with frustration. When I mentioned being short on cash to Mom, she lectured me about financial responsibility, all while praising Rachel's investment strategies. That night, I couldn't shake the sadness that settled over me. Not satisfaction at Rachel's downfall, but genuine sorrow for the pain she must be carrying. The pressure of being the golden child, of maintaining perfection at all costs, had clearly broken something inside her. I thought about calling her, offering help, but what could I say? Hey, I know about the divorce and the gambling and the debts, want to talk? She'd deny everything, just as she'd been denying it to our parents. Instead, I focused on finalizing plans for our alternative Thanksgiving. The family members gathering at my villa had all been pushed aside for various reasons deemed too messy or complicated for my parents' curated life. Now I understood we'd been the lucky ones. We'd been freed from the exhausting performance of pretending everything was perfect. My cousin Marie called late that night. Jana, I just got the strangest call from your mom. She wanted to make sure I understood that Thanksgiving was family only this year. When I said I already had plans, she got really aggressive, saying she hoped I wasn't filling my kids' heads with negativity about family. What did you tell her? That my kids were excited about seeing their cousin Jana and practicing their French. She hung up on me. We laughed, but it was tinged with sadness. My mother was so invested in her fiction that she couldn't see the family fracturing around her. Or maybe she could see it and had decided that maintaining the illusion with Rachel was worth losing everyone else. 3 days until Thanksgiving. 3 days until my parents would sit at their perfectly set table with their perfectly dressed daughter and her perfectly fictional life. 3 days until the rest of us would gather around a different table, imperfect and real and healing. As I prepared for bed, I found myself thinking about Rachel again. Somewhere she was probably crafting another story, another excuse, another loan request, the golden child tarnishing in silence while our parents polished her pedestal. I wondered if she knew about the villa, about this gathering of the excluded. Probably not. She'd been too busy maintaining her illusion to pay attention to what her disappointing sister was doing, but part of me hoped that somewhere in her spiral she might find the courage to let the mask drop. Not for our parents who'd proven they preferred beautiful lies to complicated truths, but for herself. The villa was quiet as I turned off the lights, but it wouldn't be for long. In 3 days, these rooms would fill with laughter and stories and the kind of messy, beautiful chaos that comes from people being their authentic selves. The kind of gathering my parents had systematically eliminated in favor of their peaceful, perfect fiction. Tomorrow, the cousins would start arriving, real family ready to create something new from the ashes of what we'd never really had. Thanksgiving morning arrived with a symphony of controlled chaos. The villa buzzed with life as 13 family members navigated breakfast preparations in various states of jet lag and excitement. Grandma Rose commanded the kitchen alongside Henri, teaching him her secret stuffing recipe while he shared techniques for the perfect croissant. I was rolling pie dough with my cousin Marie when my phone rang at 9:30. Mom's contact photo filled the screen. I almost didn't answer, but Grandma Rose caught my eye and nodded. "Happy Thanksgiving, Mom," I said, putting the phone on speaker so I could keep working. "Oh, Jana," my mother's voice carried that particular tone of manufactured concern she'd perfected over years of guilt trips. "I just wanted to check on you. I know this must be such a difficult day being alone and all." Behind me, Uncle Frank burst into laughter at something David's boyfriend had said. Marie's kids ran through the kitchen chasing the villa's resident cat. The sounds of family, real and vibrant, filled every corner of the space. "I'm managing," I said, catching Marie's eye. She bit her lip to keep from laughing. "Are you eating? I worry about you when you're by yourself. Maybe you could get Chinese takeout. I think that place near your apartment is open today." Grandma Rose chose that moment to call out, "Jana, honey, should we use fresh thyme or dried for the second turkey?" I watched my grandmother, Flower, dusting her apron, more alive than I'd seen her in years. "Fresh, Grandma. There's plenty in the herb garden." Silence on the other end. "Then, is someone there with you?" "I'm keeping busy," I said, which wasn't a lie, coordinating dinner for 13 people while fielding cooking questions in 2 languages, definitely qualified as busy. "Well, who was that?" My mother's confusion was palpable. In the background, Henri began singing in French while he whisked something. Susan called out about wine pairings. The espresso machine hissed to life as Frank made his 3rd cappuccino. "Just some noise from the TV," I said. "You know me need background sound when I'm alone." "Oh," she sounded uncertain now. "Well, Rachel and her husband should be here soon. She's bringing her famous green bean casserole. You know, the one that won the neighborhood contest." I knew for a fact Rachel's famous casserole came from the grocery store deli, transferred to her own dish. Just another small lie in her collection. Sounds delicious. "Yes, well," my mother was struggling now, thrown off by the obvious sounds of celebration in my background. "I suppose I should go. We have so much to prepare for our gathering. You understand?" Completely," I said, watching David and his boyfriend dance to Henri's singing while they chopped vegetables. "Enjoy your peaceful day." "Jana, are you sure you're all right? You sound different." "Different. Because I wasn't begging for inclusion or crying about exclusion, because I wasn't playing my assigned role in their family drama. I'm wonderful, Mom, truly. Give Rachel my best. I hung up before she could respond, turning back to find my entire family staring at me with expressions ranging from amusement to admiration. That, said Grandma Rose, was beautifully handled. Now someone pour me champagne. We're celebrating honesty today, even if Patricia can't. The kitchen erupted back into motion, but Marie squeezed my shoulder. You okay? I looked around the kitchen, taking in the scene. Susan was teaching Keiko to make cranberry sauce while they video called Marcus in Germany. Frank had given up on cooking and was instead entertaining Marie's kids with card tricks. David and his boyfriend Thomas were taking selfies with Henry, who was teaching them French curse words between songs. You know what I really am? My phone immediately lit up with texts from Rachel. What was all that noise when you talked to Mom that... Are you having people over? Mom said you sounded weird. I silenced the phone and tossed it in a drawer. Today wasn't about them. The morning flew by in a blur of preparation and laughter. Every corner of the villa seemed to hold a different conversation, a different connection being made or renewed. I found Linda's teenage daughter Emma in the library, reading one of Eleanor's journals. Your godmother sounds amazing, Emma said. She really loved you. She saw me, I said simply. Sometimes that's everything. Emma nodded wise beyond her 16 years. My mom says Aunt Patricia used to criticize her parenting all the time. Said Mom was too permissive, too unconventional. But look at us now. We're in France for Thanksgiving while they're stuck in their perfect little box. From downstairs, Thomas called out, Jana, your grandmother is trying to teach Henry to make something called ambrosia salad, and I think we need an intervention. I laughed, heading back to the kitchen where Grandma Rose was indeed trying to explain the Midwestern delicacy of marshmallows mixed with fruit cocktail to a horrified French chef. It's tradition, she insisted while Henry muttered in rapid French about culinary crimes. How about we make two versions? I suggested diplomatically, your traditional one and Henry's interpretation. This led to a good-natured competition that had everyone choosing sides and trash-talking in multiple languages. Frank started taking bets, while Susan live-streamed it to Marcus, who was shouting encouragement from his base in Germany. In the middle of the chaos, my phone rang again. This time it was my father. Aye, Dad, I said, stepping onto the terrace for quiet. Jana, your mother is worried. She said she heard a party at your place. I looked through the windows at my family, my real family preparing a meal with joy instead of judgment. Just the TV dad, you know how it is. Right, of course. He sounded tired. Your sister just arrived, alone. Apparently her husband had to work. We both knew that was a lie. I wondered if he suspected the truth about their golden child. That's too bad, I said neutrally. Yes, well, your mother has everything planned perfectly. You know how she is. I did know. Everything planned, controlled, curated. No room for surprises or authenticity or mess. Jana, his voice dropped. Are you really okay? For a moment, I wanted to tell him everything. About the villa, about the family gathering here, about knowing Rachel's secrets. But he'd made his choice, standing silent while my mother crafted her exclusive guest list. I'm more than okay, Dad. I'm happy. Good. That's good. He sounded confused by the concept. I should get back. Your mother needs help with the table settings. After he hung up, I stood on the terrace, breathing in the crisp air. Inside, Henry and Grandma Rose had reached a compromise, creating fusion dishes that honored both traditions. David was teaching everyone a card game while Thomas documented everything with his camera. Marie's kids were setting the table with Susan and Linda, mixing French and American elements into something uniquely ours. This was family, not perfect, not peaceful in my mother's definition, but real. We had a recovering, alcoholic Uncle Frank, 5 years sober, a recent divorcee Marie, a grandmother who'd been deemed too old to travel. Rose, who'd hiked 3 miles yesterday, a gay couple who'd never been welcomed, David and Thomas, and me, the perpetual disappointment, who'd somehow inherited a villa worth millions. My mother had looked at all of us and seen liabilities to her image. Eleanor had looked at me and seen potential. The difference between those two viewpoints had led to this moment, this gathering, this new definition of family. "Jana," Marie called. "Henri says lunch is ready, and if we don't eat now, we'll be too full for dinner." I headed back inside where the dining room table was set for a casual lunch. No assigned seats, no formal place cards, just people finding their spots naturally. Conversation flowed in multiple languages, stories overlapped, laughter came easily. At one point, Susan raised her glass. "To the rejects table. May it always be more fun than the approved one." We toasted, and I caught Grandma Rose wiping her eyes. "This," she said, "is the Thanksgiving I've been waiting 78 years for." As we ate Henri's compromise lunch of American favorites with French twists, I realized my mother had been right about one thing. She was having a peaceful Thanksgiving. Peaceful because she'd removed anyone who might challenge her, question her, or disrupt her carefully constructed narrative. But we were having something better. We were having an honest Thanksgiving where Frank could joke about his sobriety journey, where David could hold Thomas's hand without looking over his shoulder, where Marie's kids could be loud without being shushed, where I could be successful without being diminished. My phone buzzed with another text from Rachel. "Mom's asking questions about the noise at your place. What should I tell her?" I typed back the truth, if you remember what that is. Then I turned off my phone entirely. The rest of today was for the people who'd chosen authenticity over appearances, who'd taken the rejection and turned it into an invitation for something better. As lunch wound down and we began preparing for the main event, I felt Eleanor's presence again. She'd known that sometimes the best families are the ones we choose, the ones we build from the broken pieces of what we were supposed to have. Today, in a villa in France, the rejects were writing their own story, and it was beautiful. The afternoon sun cast golden shadows across the villa's terrace as we transitioned from lunch cleanup to dinner preparation. Marie's daughter, Sophia, had claimed the role of official photographer, darting between groups with her phone capturing candid moments of joy. Aunt Jana stand by the window. "The light is perfect." Sophia positioned me against the French doors overlooking the vineyard. "This place is incredible. I can't believe you've been hiding it from everyone." I smiled as she snapped photos, not thinking about where they might end up. Social media was the furthest thing from my mind as I watched my family transform the villa into a celebration of everything my parents had rejected. In the kitchen, Thomas was learning to make Grandma Rose's cornbread while she shared stories about teaching my mother to cook. Patricia never had patience for it, Rose mused. Always wanted everything to look perfect, but never cared how it tasted. Meanwhile, Sophia had moved on to photographing the dining room table. Susan and Linda had created centerpieces from vineyard cuttings and autumn flowers, while Frank polished crystal glasses that hadn't been used since Eleanor's time. "Mom, look at this spread," Sophia called to Marie. "Can I post some of these? My friends won't believe we're in France." Marie glanced at me and I shrugged. "Why not?" My parents had made it clear I wasn't part of their narrative anymore. What did it matter if people knew where we were? "Sure, honey, just tag everyone so they can share too." I returned to stuffing preparation, lost in the rhythm of chopping and seasoning, when David burst into the kitchen. "Jana, you need to see this." He held up his phone, showing an Instagram post from 5 minutes ago. Sophia had uploaded a stunning photo of our lunch, spread the French countryside visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. The caption read, "Thanksgiving lunch before the main event. So grateful for family who shows up for each other." The location tag glowed beneath the photo, Provence, France. "It's already got 50 likes, David said, and climbing." I stared at the image, my brain slowly processing the implications. The photo clearly showed the villa's distinctive architecture, the professional kitchen, the vineyard views. Anyone who saw it would know this wasn't some vacation rental or restaurant. "Marie!" I called out, but she was already hurrying over a phone in hand. I know I see it. Should I ask Sophia to take it down? Before I could answer, my silenced phone began buzzing violently in the drawer where I'd tossed it. Then Marie's started ringing, then Susan's. "Too late," Frank observed dryly. "The cat's out of the international bag." I pulled out my phone to find 23 missed calls from my mother, 15 from Rachel, and a cascade of text messages that grew more frantic with each passing minute. "Mom, Jana, what is this photo Marie's daughter posted?" "Mom, are you in France?" "Mom, why are you with Marie? She said she had other plans." "Mom, Jana Elizabeth, call me right now." "Rachel, what the hell is going on?" "Rachel, Mom is losing it over here." "Rachel, is that seriously a villa? Whose villa?" "Rachel, Mom thinks this is some kind of joke." I scrolled through the messages, watching my family's carefully constructed Thanksgiving implode in real time. The photo had been shared by several cousins already, each adding their own captions about "grateful for real family" and "best Thanksgiving ever." "They're going to find out everything now," Susan said softly. "Let them," Grandma Rose announced from her perch at the kitchen island. "I'm 78 years old and tired of secrets." Patricia wanted to control the narrative. Well, now she can explain to her friends why her mother is in France instead of at her table. My phone rang again. This time it was my father. "Don't answer it," Marie advised, but I was already swiping to accept. "Jana, your mother she's very upset. This photo, it shows you're in France with family members." His voice was strained, confused. "Yes, Dad, I'm in France with the family members Mom didn't want at her peaceful Thanksgiving." "But whose house is that in the pictures?" I took a deep breath. "It's mine, Dad. I inherited it from Eleanor. I've been here for 6 months building a life while Mom built her perfect guest list." Silence. Then, "You inherited. Eleanor left you property in France. 23 acres, an 18-room villa, and a thriving vineyard. But don't worry, I won't disrupt your peaceful gathering with the details." "Jana, I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us your mother is demanding explanations and Rachel is—" He paused. "Rachel seems very agitated about this." Of course she was. Her sister, the family disappointment, had resources she desperately needed while maintaining her fiction of success. The irony was sharp enough to cut. "I was going to tell you today, actually. Had plane tickets for everyone to visit, but then I got uninvited, so plans changed." "Tickets, you were going to—" His voice cracked slightly. "Your mother is calling for me. She wants to video call you immediately." "I'm cooking dinner for 13 people, Dad. Give Mom my regrets." I hung up and looked around the kitchen where my real family had stopped pretending to work, all eyes on me, with mixtures of shock and admiration. So, Frank said slowly, "you're telling us you've been sitting on a French villa for 6 months and didn't say anything." I was processing, I admitted, and planning, and honestly, learning who I was when I wasn't trying to earn anyone's approval. Thomas whistled low. "That's some serious boss energy." My phone buzzed with a video call request. "Mom," I declined it. Another immediately. Rachel also declined. Then came the texts from numbers I barely recognized. Distant relatives, family friends, people who'd seen the viral photo and connected the dots. The family disappointment was trending on social media, and not in the way my mother had always feared. "Look at this." David showed me his phone. Someone had shared Sophia's photo to a travel page with the caption, "When your family ditches you for Thanksgiving, so you host it at your French villa instead. Living my best life." "That's not even accurate," I protested. "I invited them first." "Doesn't matter," Marie laughed. "The internet has decided you're their revenge fantasy hero. Look, someone made a TikTok about it already." Sure enough, a stranger had created a video essay about toxic families and finding your chosen tribe using Sophia's photo as inspiration. The comments were flooded with people sharing their own stories of exclusion and triumph. "This is insane," I muttered, turning my phone face down. "This," Grandma Rose corrected, "is karma. Patricia spent so much energy controlling her image, and now she's lost control completely. Her friends are probably asking questions she can't answer with her usual spin." Susan's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and grinned. "It's my sister Carol. She wants to know why Patricia told everyone I was on a cruise when I'm clearly in France with Jana." She answered with, "Carol, yes, we're having the most amazing time. Jana's villa is incredible." One by one, family members began fielding calls from confused relatives, church friends, social circles. The story that emerged was delicious in its simplicity. Patricia had told everyone different lies about why various family members couldn't attend Thanksgiving. Now those lies were unraveling as photos proliferated across social media. "I'm going to check on Henri," I announced, needing escape from the digital drama. I found our chef in his element, preparing sauces with balletic precision while humming to himself. He looked up as I entered his domain. "Madame Jana, the internet, it discovers you, no." "Unfortunately, yes." He smiled, returning to his work. "Good, let them see what they missed. We create beauty here while they sit with their regrets." My phone buzzed against the counter. Another call from Mom. This time I let it go to voicemail and played it on speaker so Henry could hear too. "Jana Elizabeth, I demand an explanation. The entire neighborhood is asking why you're in France, why Mother is with you, why half the family is at some villa instead of here." Rachel is beside herself. "This is not the peaceful holiday I planned. You've ruined everything with your dramatics." Henri snorted. "She sounds very peaceful, no—" I deleted the voicemail and helped him plate appetizers. Through the kitchen window, I could see family members scattered across the terrace and gardens, taking their own photos, now sharing their own stories. The narrative had shifted completely out of my mother's control. Rachel sent another text. "You need to call Mom right now. She's hyperventilating. Dad doesn't know what to do. Is it true? Eleanor left you a whole estate? Why didn't you tell anyone?" I typed back, "Same reason you didn't tell anyone about your divorce, your debts, or your gambling. We all have our secrets. Difference is mine brings joy instead of destruction." The typing indicators appeared and disappeared several times before she finally responded, "That's not fair. Neither is borrowing money from family members while Mom brags about your success. At least my secrets don't hurt anyone." This time, no response came. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, I stood in Eleanor's villa, surrounded by the family my parents had discarded. Each person here had been deemed insufficient in some way, yet together we created something magnificent. "Jana." Sophia appeared in the doorway, still wielding her phone like a documentary filmmaker. "Grandma Rose wants you to know that your mom's best friend just called her to ask why Patricia lied about Grandma being too fragile to travel. Apparently, someone shared a video of Grandma hiking in the vineyard yesterday." I laughed, really laughed for the first time all day. Of course there was video. In the age of social media, my mother's carefully constructed fictions couldn't survive first contact with reality. "Tell Grandma I'll be right there." As Sophia bounded off, Henry placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "You do good here. You show them what family can be when fear doesn't lead." I thought about my parents, probably sitting in their pristine dining room fielding calls and questions while their peaceful Thanksgiving crumbled around them. They'd chosen control over connection image, over authenticity, and now they were learning what that choice really cost. Meanwhile, in a villa in France that they'd known nothing about, their discarded family members were creating something beautiful, something real, something worth posting about. The internet had found us, yes, but more importantly, we'd found each other. Dinner preparations were reaching their crescendo when the doorbell's melodic chime cut through the cheerful chaos. Everyone froze. We weren't expecting anyone else, and the villa's remote location meant random visitors were unlikely. "I'll get it," I said, wiping my hands on my apron. "Probably just a neighbor." But as I walked through the foyer, something fluttered in my stomach. The setting sun cast long shadows through the windows, and for a moment I hesitated at the door. When I opened it, my breath caught. Marcus stood on the threshold in his dress uniform duffel bag at his feet. Behind him, Keiko held their sleeping daughter while their son clutched a toy airplane. My brother's eyes were red-rimmed but bright with determination. "Hey sis," he said softly, "got room for a few more at that table." I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, just launched myself into his arms, sobbing into his shoulder while he held me tight. How I managed to choke out. "Emergency leave," he said into my hair. When Keiko showed me the pictures, when I realized what Mom had done to everyone, "I couldn't let you all celebrate without us." My commanding officer has a soft spot for family reunions, especially when family's been torn apart by someone's power games. Keiko stepped forward, shifting their daughter Mika to one arm so she could hug me too. We flew all night, 3 connections. James threw up twice, but we're here. "Uncle Marcus?" The shout came from the doorway where Marie's kids had appeared, followed by what seemed like the entire household. Grandma Rose pushed through the crowd, tears streaming down her weathered face. "My boy," she whispered, reaching up to touch Marcus's face. "My sweet boy, they told me you couldn't come. They said—" "They say a lot of things, Grandma," Marcus said, bending to embrace her. "Doesn't make them true." The reunion that followed was everything my parents' carefully controlled gatherings never allowed. Messy, loud, emotional, real. Grandma Rose couldn't stop touching Marcus as if confirming he was really there. Marie's kids immediately claimed their cousins, dragging James off to show him their room. Keiko finally let others hold Mika, who woke up just enough to charm everyone with her sleepy smile. "You've met Thomas, right?" David asked, bringing his boyfriend forward. Marcus extended his hand. "Not officially, but David's told me everything. Welcome to the family, man. The real one, anyway." We moved the reunion inside Henry, somehow producing coffee and fresh pastries despite the dinner preparations. Marcus looked around the villa with wonder. "Jana, this place. When you said you inherited property, I pictured like a cottage or something. This is an estate." "Wait until you see the vineyard," Frank said. "Your sister's been holding out on us all." "Not holding out," I corrected. "Just waiting for the right moment to share. Turns out getting exiled from Thanksgiving was exactly the right moment." Marcus's expression darkened. "About that. I need you all to know what really happened. Mom called my CO 2 weeks ago." The room fell silent. What? Grandma Rose's voice could have cut glass. "Told him that it would be disruptive for me to try to call during Thanksgiving. Said the family was going through some transitions and my presence, even virtually, would complicate things." My CO was stunned. He actually asked if there'd been a death or illness that made my presence unwelcome. Keiko spoke up, her usually gentle voice carrying an edge. She also sent me an email suggesting that traveling with small children would be too stressful for everyone involved, offered to FaceTime with just Marcus instead for 5 minutes after dinner. 5 minutes, Susan repeated flatly, for her son serving overseas. "That's when I knew," Marcus continued. "Whatever game she was playing, it was bigger than just preferring Rachel. She was systematically eliminating anyone who might question her authority or disrupt her vision." "Including her own mother," Rose added bitterly. "Especially you, Grandma. You see too much, remember too much. Can't have that at a peaceful gathering." My phone, which I'd finally silenced, completely lit up with another barrage of messages. Marcus noticed and grinned. "Oh yeah, I should mention, I posted a photo from the airport. Me in uniform with the caption, 'Surprising my sister for Thanksgiving in France because family shows up for each other.' It's got about 12,000 likes last I checked. David whooped. The saga continues. Patricia's neighbors are going to have a field day. It's not about hurting them, Marcus said seriously. It's about truth. We've all spent years accepting their version of events, letting them control the narrative. But look at us. Look at what we've built without them. I glanced around the room, seeing what he saw. 3 generations gathered not out of obligation, but choice. No one checking their behavior against my mother's standards. No one dimming their light to let Rachel shine brighter. We need to set another place at the table, I said. Actually, 4 places. 5, Thomas corrected gently. Don't forget, Mika gets her own seat even if she'll probably sleep through dinner. As we adjusted the table settings, Marcus pulled me aside. Jana, there's something else. I wasn't going to say anything today, but you should know. I had a buddy do some digging on Rachel's situation. My stomach tightened. And it's worse than whatever you've heard. The divorce filing includes fraud allegations. Apparently, she took out credit cards in her husband's name, maxed them out at casinos. He's pressing charges. Oh, God. That's not all. She's been banned from 2 casinos for suspicious behavior. There's talk of an investigation into whether she's been stealing from her company. Jana, she's in serious legal trouble. I thought of my parents sitting with their daughter at their peaceful table, completely oblivious to the storm heading their way. Or maybe not oblivious. Maybe willfully blind. Should we tell them? Marcus shook his head. They'll find out soon enough. Today isn't about them or their problems. Today is about us choosing each other. Henry announced dinner would be ready in 30 minutes. The energy shifted as everyone moved to prepare, but there was a new quality to it. Marcus being here, having literally flown across the world to join us, had transformed our gathering from a consolation prize into a deliberate choice. Hey, Marcus said, catching my arm. I'm proud of you. This place, this gathering, the business you've built, you did this without their approval, without their support. That takes guts. I had help, I said, thinking of Eleanor. We all need help. The difference is you accepted it from people who actually wanted you to succeed, not people who needed you to fail so they could feel superior. Keiko appeared with Mika, who was now fully awake and enchanting everyone with her babbling. Jana, could she play in the garden for a bit? The travel has her schedule all confused. Of course, let me show you the safe areas. As I led them outside, I heard Marcus regaling the others with stories from his base, the kind of honest human stories my mother would have deemed inappropriate for polite company. Laughter rolled through the villa like waves. In the garden, Mika toddled through the herb beds while Keiko and I watched from a bench. I've never seen him this relaxed at a family gathering, Keiko observed. Usually he's so tense waiting for your mother to make some comment about our life choices. What life choices? You're both successful. You have beautiful kids. I'm Japanese, Keiko said simply. That was enough. She never said anything overt, but there were always comments about the children being confused by 2 cultures, about making sure they were raised American, as if my heritage was something to overcome rather than celebrate. Another piece of the puzzle clicked into place. My mother's perfect family had no room for anything she couldn't control or claim credit for. Keiko's culture, like David's sexuality or Frank's recovery, was a variable she couldn't manage. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it deeply. Don't be. If she'd accepted us, we'd be at her table right now pretending everything was fine while she made subtle digs about Mika's eyes or James's grades. Instead, we're here where the kids can see family actually enjoying each other's company. Mika had discovered a butterfly and was following it with delighted squeals. Such simple joy, such pure acceptance of beauty. Everything my mother had forgotten in her pursuit of perfection. Auntie Jana, James appeared around the corner. Uncle Henry says dinner's ready, and there's 12 different desserts. 12. We gathered Mika and headed back inside, where the dining room had been transformed into something from a movie. Candlelight flickered off crystal and china. The table groaned under the weight of 2 cultures' worth of traditional dishes. and around it sat my family, my real, chosen, beautifully imperfect family. Marcus stood as we entered, raising his glass. Before we sit, I need to say something. Every deployment, I carry a photo of family to remind me what I'm fighting for. This time, I'm taking a new photo. This family, the one that shows up, the one that includes instead of excludes, the one that loves without conditions. To the family we choose. We echoed, and 13 voices plus one babbling baby filled the villa with truth. As we took our seats, my phone lit up one more time, a text from my father. Your mother saw Marcus's post. She's locked herself in the bedroom. I don't know what to do. I showed it to Marcus, who read it and shrugged. She built that room. Now she can sit in it. And with that, we began our feast, celebrating not what we'd lost, but what we'd found. Each other. 20 minutes into our magnificent dinner, just as Henry was explaining the wine pairings, my phone lit up with an incoming video call. Rachel's face filled the screen before I could decline. Don't you dare hang up on me, she said, her voice sharp with barely controlled hysteria. I almost declined anyway, but something in her eyes made me pause. Behind her, I could see movement shadows that suggested she wasn't alone. I'm in the middle of dinner, Rachel. I know exactly what you're doing. Her laugh had an edge that made everyone at the table turn to look. Having your little revenge party, right? Your pathetic attempt at showing Mom and Dad what they're missing. I held the phone up so she could see the full dining room, the table laden with food, the family members raising their glasses, the warmth and joy that filled every corner of the frame. Oh my God, Rachel breathed. Her face went pale. Is that Marcus? How is Marcus there? Hi, Rachel, Marcus called out, not moving from his seat. Surprised? Rachel's carefully styled hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared at the corners. She kept glancing over her shoulder, and I realized she was in a car. This is sick, she spat. All of you playing this game trying to hurt Mom and Dad. You should see what you've done to them. Mom's had to take a Xanax. Dad's been fielding calls all day from people asking about Jana's villa in France. The whole neighborhood is talking. Where's your husband? Susan asked innocently. Didn't he have to work today? Rachel's face contorted. Don't start with me, Susan. Just don't. Are you in your car? Grandma Rose observed. Why aren't you at dinner with your parents? Rachel's voice cracked. Because I couldn't sit there anymore, okay? Couldn't pretend everything was perfect while you... She turned the phone and suddenly we could see she was parked in what looked like a gas station lot. The overhead light illuminated her car's interior, revealing designer shopping bags in the back seat, all with tags still on. What? I asked gently. While we have dinner together. While you flaunt your money... The words exploded out of her. Your villa, your perfect French life, God, Jana, do you have any idea what it's been like, Mom going on and on about her peaceful dinner while the phones won't stop ringing? Everyone wanting to know why she lied about where people were. She made her choices, Marcus said firmly. No, you don't get it. Rachel was crying now, mascara running in dark streams. I'm drowning here, actually drowning. And then I find out my failure sister inherited millions, that you've been living like some expatriate princess while I've been... She hiccuped. I went to that gas station to buy lottery tickets on Thanksgiving because I thought maybe if I could just win something. The table had gone completely silent. Even the children seemed to sense the gravity of the moment. Rachel, I started, but she cut me off. Kyle left me 3 months ago. Did you know that? Did your little spy network tell you he found out about the credit cards, about the loans? About everything. I've been pretending to go to work for 4 months because I got fired for stealing. Stealing me, the golden child, the success story, stealing money from petty cash because I couldn't stop myself from going to the casino. We know, I said softly. We've known for a while. Of course you have. Her laugh was bitter. Perfect Jana, with her perfect villa and her perfect chosen family, looking down at messy Rachel. You must be loving this. I'm not, I said and meant it. I wouldn't wish this on anyone, especially not my sister. Sister. She tested the word like it was foreign. When's the last time we acted like sisters? When's the last time we had a conversation that wasn't scripted by mom's expectations? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, maybe never. I used to hate you, Rachel continued, her voice becoming dreamlike. You know that hate you for not playing the game, for asking questions, for not just accepting your role like I did. Do you know what it's like being the favorite, the pressure, the constant need to be perfect or risk losing the only identity you've ever had? No, I admitted, I don't. Mom's been grooming me since I was 5. Every achievement, every milestone, every breath had to reflect well on her, and I did it. I played the part so well I forgot there was a person underneath, until the person underneath started screaming to get out, started making worse and worse decisions just to feel something real. Behind her, through the gas station window, I could see other families heading to their cars, probably driving to their own gatherings. Normal people living normal lives while Rachel sat in a parking lot unraveling. Come here, I said suddenly. The table erupted in whispers, but I held up my hand for silence. What? Rachel looked confused. Come to France, tonight. I'll book you a ticket right now. Come have dinner with your real family. Are you insane? Mom would literally die. She'd never forgive me. She's already not forgiving you, Marcus pointed out. You think she doesn't know about the divorce, the debts she knows, Rachel. She's just better at pretending than you are. Rachel's face crumpled. I can't just leave. I have court dates, lawyers, creditors calling every hour. Those will all be there tomorrow, Grandma Rose said, moving closer to the phone. But tonight, you could be with people who will feed you truth along with turkey. I don't even have a passport, Rachel whispered. I sold it. Not the actual passport, but I mean I sold the designer wallet it was in. How pathetic is that? We can help with the legal stuff, I said. I know lawyers, good ones. But first you need to get somewhere safe with people who see you as more than a reflection of Mom's ego. Rachel was sobbing openly now. Behind her, someone knocked on her car window, probably concerned about the crying woman in the parking lot. She waved them off. I'm so tired, she said. Tired of pretending, tired of lying, tired of being Mom's dress-up doll. Did you know she called me this morning to make sure I was wearing the outfit she picked out? I'm 34 years old and she still picks my Thanksgiving outfit. So stop, David said simply. Stop letting her. You make it sound easy. It's not easy, David replied. Ask me how hard it was to bring Thomas to family events. Ask Marcus how hard it was to marry Keiko despite Mom's obvious disapproval. Ask Jana how hard it was to be dismissed and diminished for 32 years. It's not easy, but it's possible. Rachel looked around our table through the phone screen, really looked. You all look happy, actually happy, not performing for photos, happy. We are, I confirmed, because we're not performing. Her phone buzzed with an incoming call. She glanced at the screen and laughed bitterly. Mom, she must have noticed I left, probably worried about what the neighbors will think when there's an empty chair at her perfect table. Don't answer it, Susan advised. I have to. You don't understand. If I don't answer, she'll... Rachel stopped, realization dawning on her face. She'll? What, cut me off, disown me, stop speaking to me? She's already done all of that in every way that matters. She declined the call. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Rachel said, I should go. Let you get back to your dinner. Your real family dinner. Rachel, wait, I said. I meant what I said. The offer stands. Whenever you're ready, tomorrow, next week, next month. There's room at this table for anyone willing to show up as themselves. She smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in years. You inherited more than a villa from Eleanor. You inherited her ability to see people clearly, to offer grace where others offered judgment. We all have that ability, I said. Some of us just need to dig through more layers of other people's expectations to find it. Mom's calling again, Rachel noted, watching her screen light up. And Dad, and... Oh, that's new. She's got Aunt Catherine calling me now. The proxy guilt squad. Turn off your phone, Grandma Rose suggested. Take a breath. Eat something that doesn't come from a gas station. Make one decision based on what you need, not what she wants. Rachel nodded slowly. Okay, I'm going to go home. My home. What's left of it. And I'm going to think about everything. And Jana, I'm sorry for all of it. For the years of competing for scraps of approval, for letting her pit us against each other, for being too scared to break free. Me too, I said, for not seeing your pain sooner, for assuming you had it easier, for not realizing we were both victims of the same system. I love you, Rachel said quietly. I know I haven't said that since we were kids, but I do. I love you too. She ended the call, and for a moment the dining room was silent, except for the soft clink of silverware and Mika's babbling. Then Marcus raised his glass again. To Rachel, may she find the courage to join us at the table of truth. To Rachel, we echoed. As we returned to our meal, the food somehow tasted richer, the conversation deeper. We'd witnessed something profound the moment when someone realizes the cage door has been open all along. My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. Mom just sent the neighbors to check on me. I'm not home. Let her wonder where I am for once. I smiled and showed it to Marcus, who chuckled. Baby steps, but still steps. The evening continued, but something had shifted. We were no longer just the excluded finding solace together. We were a lighthouse showing others that there was a different way to be a family. One based on truth acceptance and the radical idea that love shouldn't require performance. Somewhere in New Jersey, our parents were probably still fielding calls, still spinning stories, still trying to control a narrative that had spiraled beyond their reach. But in a villa in France, their discarded family was writing a new story. And we just added the first line of Rachel's chapter. By the time we'd finished our main course and moved on to Henry's spectacular array of desserts, the internet had transformed our family dinner into something none of us could have anticipated. David, our unofficial social media coordinator, kept us updated between bites of tart tatin. Guys, we're trending on Twitter, he announced, scrolling through his phone. Someone screen-recorded Rachel's video call and posted it. The hashtag Thanksgiving Truth has 30,000 uses. You're joking, I said, reaching for his phone. But there it was. The video edited to highlight Rachel's breakdown about being the golden child had been shared thousands of times. Comments poured in from people sharing their own stories of family dysfunction, excluded relatives, and impossible standards. This is incredible, Thomas said, reading over David's shoulder. Look at these responses. My parents did the same thing last Christmas. Haven't spoken to my mother in 3 years because I wasn't successful enough. Golden child here, the pressure destroyed my mental health. Grandma Rose, who just mastered texting last year, demanded an explanation of trending. Marie's daughter, Sophia, our Gen Z interpreter, pulled up her tablet. Okay, Grandma, so basically the whole internet is watching our family drama play out in real time. Look, someone made a TikTok breaking down the whole story. She played a video where a young woman with green hair explained the Thanksgiving Villa saga to her followers. So this woman gets excluded from family Thanksgiving, but plot twist, she owns a whole villa in France. She invites all the other rejected family members there living their best life, and meanwhile, the toxic parents are getting exposed for lying to everyone. But then the golden child sister calls from a gas station parking lot, having a complete breakdown. Y'all, the family dynamics are unhinged in the best way. We're unhinged, Frank asked indignantly. We're the stable ones. That's a lot of views, I said weakly, watching the numbers climb. The video had 3 million views and counting. Oh, it gets better, David said. Someone found the villa's Instagram page. You've gained 100,000 followers since dinner started. I groaned. The carefully curated business page I'd built over months was now flooded with comments about family drama and requests for updates. My phone, which I'd silenced again, vibrated constantly with notification after notification. Local news picked it up, Susan announced, looking at her iPad. Bergen County Gazette, Thanksgiving, disaster, local families' lies exposed as relatives celebrate in French villa. She showed us the article, which included photos pulled from various social media posts, including Marcus's airport photo and several from dinner. Someone had even found an old family photo from my parents' Facebook and contrasted it with our gathering tonight. How do they even know where Mom and Dad live? I asked. The neighbor, Marcus said grimly, Mrs. Patterson. She commented on one of the posts asking if everything was okay because she saw Rachel leaving in tears. Tagged the location. And there's the smoking gun, Thomas observed. Your mom's entire social circle is watching this implode in real time. As if summoned by our conversation, my phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello. Is this Jana McAllister? The voice was professional clipped. This is Rebecca Chen from News 12 New Jersey. We're running a story about your Thanksgiving gathering and would love to get your perspective on... I hung up. Reporters, I announced to the table. This is officially out of control. Jana, look at this, Keiko said softly, showing me her phone. It was a post from a parenting blog she followed. The blogger had shared our story with a lengthy commentary about toxic family dynamics and the importance of protecting children from harmful relationships. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give your children is distance from people who would diminish them, Keiko read aloud. This family chose connection over convention, authenticity over approval. Their kids will grow up knowing they matter more than appearances. Mika, as if understanding she was being discussed, clapped her chubby hands and offered everyone her partially chewed piece of bread. At least someone's having a normal Thanksgiving. Marie laughed, accepting the soggy offering with grace. Normal is relative, Grandma Rose observed. Speaking of relatives, has anyone heard from Patricia lately? David pulled up Facebook. Oh, wow. Okay, so Mom tried to do damage control. She posted a photo of their table an hour ago with the caption, "Blessed to share a peaceful Thanksgiving with those who truly matter." The photo showed my parents and Rachel's empty place setting with an artfully arranged spread that looked more like a magazine shoot than a meal. But it was the comments that told the real story. Where's your mother, Patricia? Why did you tell me Susan was on a cruise? Is it true Jana owns a villa? Why isn't Marcus home for Thanksgiving? David read. She's getting roasted in her own comments section. She turned off comments, Susan noted, but people just started commenting on her older posts instead. Look, someone found her post from last Thanksgiving where she talked about having the whole family together and called her out on the lie. The vindication was intoxicating, but as I watched my mother's carefully maintained social media presence crumble, I felt an unexpected twinge of sympathy. This wasn't really about hurting her. It never had been. Stop, I said suddenly. Everyone stop looking at the posts about them. The table looked at me in surprise. This isn't who we are, I continued. We didn't come here to watch their downfall. We came here to build something better. Let the internet do what it does, but we don't need to participate in the pile-on. Grandma Rose smiled proudly. That's my granddaughter. Eleanor would be proud. We put away the phones and tablets, returning to our desserts and conversation. But the digital storm continued without us. Every so often, someone's phone would buzz with a call from a reporter or a message from a distant acquaintance, suddenly interested in reconnecting. The villa's voicemail is full, Henri informed me quietly. 17 messages from journalists, 12 from people claiming to be family friends, and one very persistent woman who says she's writing a book about toxic families and wants to interview you. Delete them all, I said. Tomorrow's problem. But even as we tried to refocus on our gathering, the outside world kept intruding. Marcus's commanding officer called to make sure he was safe after seeing concerning social media posts about family conflict. 3 of my cousin's schools sent automated messages about counseling resources after parents expressed concern about the viral family situation. This is insane, Linda said. We just wanted to have dinner together. How did it become international news? Because everyone sees their own family in ours, Thomas said thoughtfully. Look at the comments. It's not really about us. It's about every person who's ever been excluded, diminished, or forced to perform for approval. We just became the symbol. He was right. The stories pouring in from strangers around the world had common themes: parents who played favorites, families who valued appearance over authenticity, relatives who'd been cut off for not fitting the mold. We accidentally started a movement, David said in wonder, the Thanksgiving Truth Movement. My phone rang again. This time it was my landlord from my apartment back home. Jana, I've got reporters camped outside the building. They want to know about your villa. What should I tell them? I covered the phone and looked around the table at my chosen family. They looked back, waiting for my lead. Tell them, I said clearly, that I'm having dinner with my family, my real family, and that's all that matters. After I hung up, Frank raised his coffee cup. So, what happens tomorrow, when the trending dies down and we all have to go back to reality? We don't go back, I said firmly. We go forward, together. This doesn't end when Thanksgiving does. Agreed, Marcus said. I've got 2 more weeks of leave. I'm thinking of spending them here if that's okay. The kids don't have school until Monday, Marie added. We could extend our stay. One by one, family members began making plans to prolong their visit. The villa that had felt too large for one person would be full of life and laughter for weeks to come. You realize Mom's never going to forgive this, Susan said quietly. The public humiliation, the loss of control. She'll write us all off permanently. She already had, Grandma Rose reminded her. The difference is now we've written a better story. As we cleared the dessert plates and moved toward the living room for coffee and conversation, my phone buzzed with one final message. It was from a number I didn't recognize, but the words made my breath catch. Hi, Jana. This is Kyle, Rachel's ex. I just saw everything online. I'm worried about her. She's not answering my calls. Is she okay? Despite everything, I still care. She's sick, not evil. Please help her if you can. I showed the message to Marcus, who nodded thoughtfully. Forward it to her. Let her decide what to do with someone who sees her clearly, but still cares. The night was winding down, but our story was far from over. Somewhere my parents were dealing with the collapse of their carefully constructed image. Somewhere Rachel was making decisions about her future. And somewhere thousands of people were looking at their own family dynamics and wondering if there might be a different way. But here in Provence, in a villa filled with the people who chose each other, we were already living that different way. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more phone calls, additional complications. The internet might move on to the next viral story, or we might become a lasting symbol of family dysfunction and redemption. Either way, we'd face it together. The family we'd chosen, the table we'd built, the truth we'd finally told. The next morning arrived with a hangover of exhaustion and emotion. Most of us had stayed up until 3 a.m., talking in small groups scattered throughout the villa. As I made coffee in the pre-dawn quiet, my phone showed 67 missed calls and over 300 unread messages. I ignored them all, focusing instead on the simple pleasure of grinding fresh beans. Marcus found me on the terrace where I'd escaped to watch the sunrise paint the vineyard in shades of gold and purple. Couldn't sleep either, he asked, accepting a cup gratefully. Too much to process, I admitted. Yesterday feels like a dream. A good dream, though. Finally. We stood in comfortable silence until his phone chimed. He glanced at it and frowned. That's weird. Someone just added me to a family group chat, but I thought we already had. His face went pale. Oh, no. What? He showed me his screen. The group chat was labeled McAllister family and included every single family member from both sides, including our parents. The person who'd added everyone was listed as unknown number. Oh, who would do this? I asked, my stomach dropping as I watched family members' names populate the active list. Then the messages started. Frank, what fresh hell is this? Susan, did someone seriously just put Patricia in a group chat with all of us? Mom, what is this? How do I remove myself? David, oh, this is about to get interesting. Grandma Rose. Finally, a conversation Patricia can't control by hanging up. Unknown number. Since you all spent yesterday talking about each other instead of to each other, I thought I'd facilitate some direct communication. Consider this an intervention. The typing indicators danced as multiple people started and stopped messages. Then Rachel's name appeared. Rachel. This was me, the unknown number. I made a backup account because I knew Mom would block my regular number. We need to talk. All of us, without filters or facades. Mom, Rachel Elizabeth, this is inappropriate. Delete this immediately. Rachel. No, I'm done deleting uncomfortable truths to maintain your comfort. Dad. Let's all calm down. This isn't the time or place. Rachel. When is the time, Dad? When you're enabling Mom's narcissism, when you're pretending not to notice she's alienated half the family, when you're acting like I'm not drowning while you brag about my success. The chat exploded. Years of suppressed grievances poured out in a digital flood. Susan. Patricia, you told everyone I was on a cruise because you were embarrassed. I'm dating someone new after my divorce. Linda. You said Mom was too fragile to travel while she was literally hiking in France. Frank. 20 years of sobriety and you still introduce me as your troubled brother. Mom. I don't have to listen to this. Grandma Rose. For once in your life, Patricia Marie, yes you do. You've spent 40 years controlling every narrative, every holiday, every family interaction. Look where it's led us. Mom, Mother, you don't understand the pressure of maintaining family standards. Grandma Rose. Standards. Is that what you call systematically excluding anyone who doesn't fit your image? I raised you better than this. David. Aunt Patricia, you've never once acknowledged Thomas as my partner. 4 years of David's friend when Rachel's husband was family after 4 months. The messages came faster now, a tsunami of truth that had been held back by politeness and fear for decades. Marcus, you called my commanding officer to tell him not to let me call home for Thanksgiving. My CEO was so concerned he thought there'd been a death in the family. Keiko, you suggested I was confusing our children by teaching them about their Japanese heritage. Mom, I was trying to protect them from feeling different. Keiko, different from what your narrow definition of American? They're proud of both cultures, no thanks to you. The chat briefly paused, then Rachel dropped a screenshot. Rachel, this is an email Mom sent me last month. The screenshot showed an email with the subject line, Thanksgiving Concerns. In it, our mother had detailed her plan to simplify the holiday by excluding problematic elements and maintaining peaceful family dynamics. She'd literally created a spreadsheet ranking family members by their contribution to family harmony. Uncle Frank, she made a spreadsheet ranking us. Rachel, I'm sending more screenshots. Years of emails where she coached me on maintaining appearances while my life fell apart. What followed was damning. Email after email showing our mother's calculated manipulation. Instructions on what to wear, what to say, who to befriend. Demands to keep Rachel's struggles secret. Threats to withdraw support if Rachel didn't perform appropriately. Mom, Rachel, stop this immediately. These are private conversations. Rachel, privacy is for people who aren't actively harming others with their secrets. Then came screenshots from other family members. Text messages where Mom had pitted relatives against each other. Lies told to prevent certain people from attending events. A whole shadow network of manipulation spanning decades. Marcus, I have recordings too. Phone calls where you explicitly told me not to mention Keiko's pregnancy at Christmas because you didn't want to deal with another grandchild. Mom, you recorded our private conversations. Marcus, I recorded evidence because I knew someday we'd need proof that we weren't crazy, that this really happened. Dad, Patricia, maybe we should. Mom, Robert, don't you dare side with them. Dad, I'm not siding with anyone. I'm seeing our family torn apart and wondering how we got here. Grandma Rose, I'll tell you how. You enabled her, Robert. Every exclusion, every lie, every manipulation. You stood by and let it happen because it was easier than standing up to her. The truth of it hung in the digital space. Then more family members began sharing their stories. Cousin Pete, Rachel borrowed $15K from me. When I mentioned being short on funds at Easter, Aunt Patricia lectured me about financial planning while praising Rachel's success. Marie, she told me my divorce was embarrassing for the family while hiding that her golden child was already separated. The messages kept coming, each one a small betrayal, a tiny cut that had contributed to the family's slow bleed. Together, they painted a picture of systematic emotional abuse disguised as maintaining standards. Then Linda shared something that made everyone pause. Linda, I have emails from Eleanor, Jana's godmother. She documented everything she witnessed over the years. She knew this day would come. She sent several screenshots. Eleanor's observations were clinical, yet compassionate, detailing incidents where my mother had diminished me, excluded others, and manipulated family dynamics. The final email was dated a week before Eleanor's death. I'm leaving Jana the villa not just as an inheritance, but as a sanctuary, a place where she can build the family she deserves, free from Patricia's poison. The others will find their way to her. Truth always finds a way to the light. I stared at the message tears, blurring my vision. Eleanor had planned this. Not the viral social media storm, but the safe harbor for when the family finally fractured. Mom, this is ridiculous. I'm calling my lawyer. Rachel, for what defamation? It's only defamation if it's false, Mom. Mom, for harassment. This group chat is harassment. Susan, you know what's harassment? 30 years of being told I'm not good enough, of having my children excluded from family photos because they're too energetic. David being asked to tone down my lifestyle at family gatherings. Frank having my sobriety turned into family shame instead of family pride. The chat continued, but something had shifted. This wasn't just venting anymore. It was testimony, evidence of a pattern so long established that we'd all accepted it as normal. Marcus, here's what's going to happen. We're done. No more holidays where we pretend everything's fine. No more letting you control the narrative. No more sacrificing our mental health for your image. Mom, you can't just destroy this family. Grandma Rose, you destroyed it, Patricia. We're just acknowledging the wreckage. Then Rachel sent one final screenshot. It was a text exchange from yesterday. Mom, where are you? The neighbors are asking. Rachel, getting help. Mom, get help later. Come back now. People are talking. Rachel, let them talk. I'm done being your prop. Mom, if you don't come back, don't bother coming back at all. Rachel, I know. That's why I'm not coming back. The chat went silent. Then, Dad, Patricia, is this true? Did you really say that? Mom, she's twisting things, taking them out of context. Dad, what context makes that okay? For the first time in my memory, our father was questioning her, publicly, in front of the entire family. Dad, I need some time to think, to process all of this. Marcus, take all the time you need, Dad. We'll be here when you're ready. The real family, the honest one. People began leaving the chat, not in anger, but in exhaustion. The truth had finally been spoken, all of it, and now everyone needed space to process what came next. But before I could exit, one more message appeared. Mom, I hope you're all happy. You've destroyed everything I worked for. Grandma Rose had the last word. No, Patricia, we've destroyed everything you worked for. Everything we worked for, love, honesty, connection, that's stronger than ever. It just doesn't include you anymore. The chat ended. I set down my phone and found myself surrounded by family members who'd quietly gathered on the terrace as the conversation unfolded. We stood together, processing the digital destruction of decades of dysfunction. Well, Frank finally said, I guess that's that. No, I corrected, looking around at the faces of people who'd chosen truth over comfort. That's not the end, that's the beginning. The sun had fully risen now, casting long shadows across the vineyard. A new day, a new family dynamic, a new chance to build something real from the ashes of what we'd pretended to have. My phone buzzed with a private message from Rachel. Thank you for offering me a seat at your table. I'm in therapy today, but maybe soon, when I've earned it. I typed back, you don't have to earn a seat at this table, you just have to show up as yourself. And in a villa in France, surrounded by people who'd finally stopped performing, that's exactly what we were all learning to do. The morning after the group chat explosion, we gathered for breakfast, in various states of emotional exhaustion. Grandma Rose, however, seemed energized in a way I hadn't seen in years. She'd commandeered the villa's study and had been on calls with someone since 6 a.m. Who's Grandma talking to? Marie asked, pouring coffee for everyone. Her lawyer, Marcus said, looking concerned. I heard her mention estate planning. As if on cue, Grandma Rose emerged from the study, her silver hair perfectly coiffed despite the early hour. She carried herself with the bearing of someone about to make a significant announcement. Good morning, my loves, she said, taking her seat at the head of the table. I trust everyone slept well after yesterday's digital reckoning. Rose, what are you planning? Susan asked nervously. Grandma smiled, but it wasn't her usual warm expression. This was the smile of someone who'd finally decided to use their power. I've been thinking about legacy, she began, about what we leave behind and who we leave it to. Patricia has always been very concerned about inheritance, hasn't she? Always reminding me to be fair with my will, always suggesting that family loyalty should be rewarded. We exchanged glances. Everyone knew Grandma Rose was wealthy, though she lived modestly. Her late husband had built a successful manufacturing business, and she'd invested wisely over the decades. Well, she continued, I've decided to take her advice. I'm rewarding family loyalty, real loyalty, the kind shown by people who show up for each other, not those who exclude and manipulate. Grandma, I started, but she held up her hand. I've spent the morning with Harold Weinstein. Lovely man, excellent lawyer. We've restructured everything. She pulled out a tablet, surprisingly tech-savvy for someone her age. Would you like to see the numbers? Mother, you don't have to do this, Frank said quietly. Oh, but I do. Her voice turned steel. I've watched my daughter poison this family for 40 years. I've stayed silent, hoping she'd change, hoping she'd see what truly mattered. But yesterday's chat made it clear she's incapable of change. So I'm changing the only thing I can control. She tapped the tablet, revealing a document. My estate is worth approximately $8.7 million. Several coffee cups hit the table. The original will divide everything equally among my children and grandchildren. Very fair, very traditional. She swiped to a new page. The new will is different. It rewards presence over pretense. Grandma, we don't care about money, David protested. I know you don't, sweetheart. That's precisely why you're in the will. She adjusted her reading glasses. Every person at this table, every person who chose connection over control will receive an equal share. Those who prioritized image over family, they get exactly what they gave to others, nothing. That's, Susan calculated quickly, that's over $500,000 each. More actually, there are also the properties, the house in Vermont, the condo in Florida, the investment portfolio. Grandma Rose looked around the table, but that's not the best part. She pulled up a video call on her tablet. Harold Weinstein's face appeared formal in his office despite the holiday weekend. "Mrs. McAllister, are you ready to proceed?" he asked. "Yes, Harold, and I'd like my real family to witness this." What followed was surreal. Through video link, we watched Grandma Rose formally execute her new will. Each change was documented, witnessed, and filed electronically with the state. "Now, Grandma said after Harold signed off. "I'd like to make another call. Patricia needs to hear this directly from me." "Mother, maybe we should wait," Frank started. "I've waited 78 years to speak my truth to my daughter. I'm not waiting another day." She dialed, putting the phone on speaker. My mother answered on the second ring. "Mother, thank goodness. I was so worried after that horrible chat yesterday. These people have poisoned you against—" "Patricia," Grandma's voice cut through like a blade. "Be quiet and listen. For once in your life, just listen." Silence. "I've just finished restructuring my will. You should know that your inheritance and Rachel's has been redistributed to the family members who actually behave like family." "What you can't do that I'm your daughter." "Biologically, yes, but family is more than blood. It's showing up. It's accepting people as they are. It's love without conditions. You failed every test of family I can name. This is Jana's influence, isn't it? She's turned you against me with her money and her villa." "Stop!" Grandma's voice was quiet but firm. "Jana didn't turn me against you. Your own actions did that. Every person you excluded, every lie you told, every manipulation you orchestrated, those were your choices." "Mother, please. Let's discuss this rationally. I've been under so much stress." From what? From the peaceful holiday you orchestrated, from the perfect image you curated. You created your own stress by building a house of cards and expecting everyone else to live in it. My mother's breathing was audible through the speaker. "You're making a mistake. What will people say when they find out you've disinherited your own daughter?" Grandma Rose laughed. "There it is. Your first concern is what people will say. Not whether you've lost your mother's love, not how to repair the family you've broken, but what people will say." "That's not, I didn't mean." "Yes, you did. You always mean exactly what you say first. It's only after you realize how it sounds that you try to reshape it. Frank put you up to this, or Susan. They've always been jealous of my success." Frank snorted. "What success, Patricia? Your perfect daughter is in legal trouble. Your excluded relatives are thriving. Your social circle is questioning everything you've told them. Where exactly is this success?" "How dare you?" "He dares, because it's true," Grandma interrupted. "And here's what else is true, you still have a choice. You can continue down this path of control and manipulation, or you can get help. Real help. Therapy. Self-reflection. Accountability." "I don't need therapy. I need my family to stop attacking me." "We're not attacking you," I said quietly. "We're just finally defending ourselves." "Jana!" My mother's voice dripped with venom. "This is all your fault. If you hadn't inherited that money, if you hadn't flaunted it." "She didn't flaunt anything," Marcus interjected. "She quietly built a life and invited us to share it. The only one flaunting anything was you showing off a version of family that never existed." "I'm calling my lawyer," Mom declared. "This is undue influence. Mother isn't sound of mind." Grandma chuckled. "Call whoever you like. Harold has already filed competency evaluations from 3 separate doctors. My mind is perfectly sound. My conscience is finally clear, and my will is ironclad." "You'll regret this," Mom said quietly. "When you're old and need care." "I'm already old, Patricia, and the people around this table will care for me just as they care for each other. Without conditions, without scorecards, without threatening abandonment when they don't get their way." "Is Rachel there? Is she part of this conspiracy?" "Rachel isn't here," Grandma said gently. "She's getting professional help for problems you insisted on hiding. But when she's ready, she'll have a place at this table. Because that's what real family does. We leave the door open for those willing to walk through it honestly. This isn't over, Mom hissed. Yes, it is, Grandma replied. Your control over this family is over. Your narrative is over. Your ability to hurt people I love is over. What happens next is up to you. Get help or don't. Change or don't. But you'll do it without using my money as leverage or my name as credibility. She hung up without saying goodbye. The dining room was silent for a long moment. Then Mika, blissfully unaware of the family drama, threw her sippy cup on the floor and giggled at the sound. Well, Thomas said finally, that was intense. Grandma Rose's stern expression melted into exhaustion. I should have done that 30 years ago. Maybe if I'd stood up to her earlier. You did it now, Susan said firmly. That's what matters. I don't want anyone to think this is about money, Grandma said, looking around the table. The inheritance is just a tool. What matters is that Patricia can't use it to control anyone anymore, can't hold it over your heads or play favorites with it. We know, David assured her, but Grandma, are you prepared for what comes next? She's going to make your life miserable. My life was already miserable watching her destroy this family. At least now I'm fighting back. She straightened. Besides, I'll be here for the next month. Harold's booking my flight to move some things to the villa permanently if Jana will have me. Of course, I said immediately. Stay as long as you like, forever if you want. My phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. Grandma just texted me about the will. I don't want money, I want help. Can we talk? I showed it to Grandma, who smiled sadly. Tell her the money will be in a trust for when she's healthy, and tell her I love her. That never changed even when I had to protect others from her choices. As I typed the response, Frank raised his coffee mug. To Rose McAllister, the queen of waiting for the perfect moment to strike. To Grandma. We echoed and her eyes filled with tears. To family, she corrected. The real kind. The kind Eleanor knew Jana would build when she left her this sanctuary. We spent the rest of the morning fielding the fallout. My mother called various family members trying to rally support but found none. She'd burned too many bridges. Even relatives not present at the villa had heard about the group chat, seen the evidence, and drawn their own conclusions. My father called me privately that afternoon. Your grandmother really did it, he asked quietly. She did. Dad, are you okay? A long pause. I don't know. I've enabled this for so long, I'm not sure who I am without it. Your mother? She's talking about suing everyone. She's calling relatives, demanding loyalty oaths. His voice broke. She's exactly who you all said she was, and I've been too much of a coward to see it. It's not too late, I said gently. There's always room at our table for people ready to show up authentically. I might need some time to figure out who I am without her voice in my ear telling me who to be. Take all the time you need. That evening, as we prepared for our second night together, Grandma Rose pulled me aside. I have something else for you, she said, handing me an envelope. From Eleanor. She gave it to me years ago, told me to give it to you when you finally broke free. Inside was a single sheet of paper in Eleanor's elegant handwriting. My dearest Jana, if you're reading this, then you finally built your own table instead of begging for scraps at theirs. I'm so proud of you. The villa is just walls and land. What you'll build inside it, the love, the acceptance, the chosen family, that's the real inheritance. Be patient with those still finding their way. Be firm with those who would drag you back. And remember, you were always enough. They were just too small to see it. All my love, Eleanor. I wiped my tears and looked out at my family, my real family, laughing in the garden as the sun set over the French countryside. Eleanor had been right. The villa was just the setting. What we'd built inside it was what mattered. And we were just getting started. Saturday evening arrived with an unseasonable warmth that had us opening all the villa's windows. We were in the middle of a boisterous game of charades when Henri appeared in the doorway, looking concerned. Madame Jana, there is a situation. On your parents' property, the security cameras you ask me to monitor, they show many police cars. My blood ran cold. I'd had Henry keeping an eye on the feed from our old home security system, partly out of concern for my father, and partly because I didn't trust my mother not to do something drastic. Pull it up on the main screen, Marcus said, already shifting into military mode. Henri connected his tablet to the living room TV, and we watched in shock as the feed showed multiple police vehicles in my parents' driveway. Officers were on the front lawn, and neighbors had gathered on the sidewalk. "What time is this from?" Susan asked. "This is live, madame, happening now." I grabbed my phone and called my father. No answer. I tried again. Nothing. Then my phone rang, unknown number, New Jersey area code. "Hello? Is this Jana McAllister?" A professional voice, carefully neutral. "Yes." "This is Officer Martinez with the Ridgewood Police Department. I'm calling about an incident at your parents' residence. Your sister Rachel has listed you as her emergency contact." "Is she okay? Is anyone hurt?" "No one is physically injured, ma'am, but we have a situation. Your sister appears to be experiencing a mental health crisis. She's not entirely coherent, and she's made some concerning statements. We're trying to de-escalate, but she keeps asking for you." For me, I couldn't hide my surprise. Rachel and I hadn't been each other's emergency contacts in over a decade. "Yes, ma'am. She says you're the only family member she trusts. Could you possibly speak with her? Sometimes a familiar voice helps." I put the phone on speaker so the others could hear. Of course, what happened exactly? "From what we've gathered, she arrived at your parents' home intoxicated. There was an altercation, property damage. Your mother called 911, but when we arrived, the situation had escalated. Your sister has barricaded herself in the pool house and she's destroying everything inside." Through the phone, I could hear distant shouting, Rachel's voice, high and hysterical, though I couldn't make out the words. "Can you patch me through to her?" "We'll try. Hold, please." The line went silent, then filled with static. Finally, Officer Martinez came back on. "She's willing to talk, but only on speaker so everyone can hear. She says she wants witnesses. I'm going to hold my phone up to the pool house door. Rachel, I called out. "It's Jana. Can you hear me?" A crash like glass breaking. Then Rachel's voice, raw and broken. "Jana, is that really you?" "It's me. Rachel, what's going on? Talk to me." "They knew," she screamed. "This whole time they knew everything. I found the emails, Jana. Mom's been talking to Kyle's lawyer. She knew about the divorce 3 months ago. She knew about the gambling, the debts, all of it. But she made me keep pretending because what would people think?" My family exchanged looks of disgust, but not surprise. "I'm at their perfect Thanksgiving house." Rachel continued, her words slurring together. "You know what I found in here, files. She keeps files on all of us. Spreadsheets ranking family members. Notes about our weaknesses and how to manage us. There's a whole folder labeled Jana Problem Child with documentation going back 20 years. Rachel, I need you to stay calm." "Mom," she laughed hysterically, "I found my file, the Rachel investment. That's what I am to her, an investment, with subsections for return on investment and risk mitigation. She has strategies written out for maintaining my image even after the divorce, scripts for what to tell people, a timeline for introducing an appropriate new partner to restore the family reputation." Another crash, the sound of papers scattering. "She scheduled my breakdown, Jana, literally scheduled it. Rachel, emotional crisis managed privately, consider inpatient facility with good reputation, prepare press release about exhaustion." I felt sick. Even for my mother, this was beyond anything I'd imagined. Listen to this," Rachel continued, and I heard rustling papers. "If Rachel's issues become public, pivot to concern mother narrative. Emphasize family support while distancing from financial implications. Consider Jana as scapegoat if needed. Her absence makes her ideal candidate for blame. Of course she did, Grandma Rose muttered. I've been killing myself trying to be perfect for someone who sees me as a PR problem to manage. Rachel sobbed. Do you know what she said when I confronted her tonight? She said I was being dramatic, that everything she did was for my own good, that if I just followed her plan, none of this would have happened. Manch's Officer Martinez's voice cut in. We need you to come out. We can get you help. I don't want help. I want witness. I want everyone to see what she really is. Through the security feed, we could see Rachel emerge from the pool house, arms full of files and papers. She looked terrible, hair-matted makeup, smeared designer clothes, torn and stained. This was not the golden child our mother had displayed at countless family gatherings. This was someone having a complete breakdown. Look at all this. She threw papers in the air, creating a snowstorm of documentation. 20 years of manipulation control. She has files on everyone, Uncle Frank's rehab records that she somehow got illegally, Susan's divorce proceedings with notes about leverage points, David's college applications with sections highlighted as potentially embarrassing. The officers tried to approach, but she backed away, still throwing papers. She has Jana's report cards with notes about how to spin the overachievement as compensation for social deficits. Marcos's military records with strategies for managing his unfortunate marriage choice. Grandma's medical records with evaluations of her mental competency. Those are private documents, Susan gasped. Nothing was private to her, Rachel screamed. We weren't family, we were subjects in her social experiment, assets to manage risks, to mitigate. Through the feed, we saw my mother emerge from the house perfectly composed despite the chaos. She approached the officers with her best concerned mother expression. I'm so sorry about this disturbance, we heard her say through the phone. My daughter has been struggling with substance abuse. We've tried to get her help, but... Liar! Rachel spun toward her. Tell them the truth. Tell them about the files. Tell them how you knew about my gambling but told me to keep it secret. Tell them how you gave me money to gamble with because it was cheaper than having my problems go public. Rachel, you're not well. No, I'm not. Well, I haven't been well for years, and you know why? Because being your daughter is a mental illness. It's a full-time performance with no intermission and no applause, just constant criticism and impossible standards. She turned back to the officers. Test my blood. Test it right now. You'll find alcohol and Xanax and Adderall and whatever else I could find to get through one more day of being Patricia McAllister's investment portfolio. The scene was devastating. Rachel, who'd always been so poised, so perfect, was having the kind of public breakdown our mother had spent decades preventing. But there was something liberating in watching her finally tell the truth, even if it came wrapped in hysteria and pain. Ren, I said loudly, hoping she could still hear me. We're here. We're witnessing. We see you. We believe you. She stopped throwing papers and moved closer to the officer's phone. Jana. I'm here. We're all here. Grandma Marcus, Susan, Frank, David, everyone. We're watching. We're witnessing. You're not alone. I'm so tired, she whispered, and suddenly all the fight went out of her. She sank to her knees on the lawn, surrounded by scattered evidence of our mother's obsessive control. I'm so fucking tired of pretending. Then stop, I said gently. Stop pretending. We did, and we're okay. You can be okay too. How? Her voice was small, childlike. I don't know who I am without the performance. That's what recovery is for, Frank said, leaning toward the phone. Rachel, it's Uncle Frank. I've been sober 20 years. You know what the hardest part was? Not stopping drinking. It was figuring out who I was without it. But it's possible. I promise you, it's possible. Through the feed we watched as Rachel finally allowed the officers to approach. One of them, a woman, knelt beside her and spoke quietly. Rachel nodded, then looked directly at the security camera. I want to go to the hospital, she said clearly. I want to go somewhere Mom can't find me. I want to get better. Real better, not PR statement better. We'll make sure you're safe, Officer Martinez assured her. As they helped her to her feet, my mother stepped forward. This is unnecessary. I can handle. Ma'am, step back, the female officer said firmly. Your daughter is requesting medical assistance. She's going voluntarily, which is good. Don't make this harder. But the neighbors are already watching, the officer said dryly. That ship has sailed. We watched as they led Rachel to the ambulance, my mother trailing behind, still trying to control the narrative. My father appeared in the doorway looking lost and confused. Jana. Officer Martinez came back on the line. She's asking if you'll be there when she gets out. Tell her yes, I said immediately. Tell her she has a place to go when she's ready. A place where she can just be Rachel, whoever that turns out to be. I'll tell her. And ma'am, those documents she was throwing around, we're going to need to collect them as evidence. Some of what she described, well, there might be criminal implications regarding privacy violations and document theft. Collect whatever you need, I said. It's time for accountability. After he hung up, we sat in stunned silence, watching the feed as officers photographed and bagged the scattered papers. My mother stood on her perfect lawn, surrounded by evidence of her imperfect reality, still trying to explain to anyone who would listen. The neighbors weren't listening. They were filming. Should we have done something sooner? Susan asked quietly. We all knew Patricia was controlling, but this... We didn't know because she didn't want us to know, Grandma Rose said firmly. That's how abusers work. They isolate, they compartmentalize, they make you doubt your own perceptions. We can't blame ourselves for not seeing what she actively hid. My phone buzzed with a text from Kyle, Rachel's ex. I saw the police response on the news. Is she okay? I know we're divorced, but I still care. She's sick, not evil. Please tell me she's getting help. I showed it to the others. David whistled low. Even her ex understands what Mom refuses to see. Because he loved the real person, Thomas observed, not the performance. We watched the security feed until the last police car left. My father stood alone on the lawn, picking up scattered papers in the fading light. He looked broken, aged 10 years in 10 minutes. My phone rang. Dad. Jana. His voice was hollow. Did you see? We saw everything, Dad. The files. I didn't know about the files. I swear I didn't know. How could she? Some of these documents, I don't even know how she got them. Medical records, financial statements, therapy notes. This is... He paused. This is insane. Our whole life is insane. Dad, I found one about me, he continued. A file, Robert Enabler Asset, with subsections on my weaknesses, strategies for maintaining my compliance. 40 years of marriage reduced to bullet points about how to keep me in line. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. Don't apologize. You tried to tell us. You all tried. I couldn't see it. Or wouldn't. He took a shaky breath. I'm going to a hotel tonight. I can't stay in this house. Can't look at her. Can't pretend anymore that this is normal. Oh, good, Marcus said loudly enough for Dad to hear. That's the first healthy decision you've made in years. Is that Marcus? Are you all together? We're in France, Dad, at my villa, the one Mom didn't want to know about because she couldn't control it. France? He laughed bitterly. Of course. Building something beautiful while we built this. It's not too late, I said. For you or for Rachel, it's never too late to choose differently. I need to go, need to think. But Jana, thank you for answering, for witnessing, for not hanging up on the mess we made. After he hung up, we sat with the weight of what we'd seen. Rachel's public breakdown, my mother's private files, my father's dawning realization, the complete collapse of the McAllister family facade. She'll spin this, Susan predicted, find a way to make herself the victim. Let her try, Marcus said grimly. The truth is all over the lawn. The neighbors have video. The police have evidence. The golden child has finally tarnished in public. There's no spinning that. Henri appeared with cognac and glasses. For the shock, he explained gently. As we sipped the warming liquid, Grandma Rose raised her glass. To Rachel, may her breakdown be her breakthrough. To Rachel, we echoed. And in a villa in France, we held space for the sister who'd finally shattered the perfection that was slowly killing her. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't peaceful. But it was real. And real was what our family did now. Sunday morning brought an unexpected call from a French journalist named Sylvie Moreau. She spoke elegant English with just a hint of accent. Mais Madame McAllister, I am writing a feature for Le Figaro about Americans reinventing themselves in Provence. Your villa renovation has caught our attention, particularly the business model you've developed. Would you be available for an interview? I almost declined given the family drama, but Henri encouraged me. The world should see what you've built here, madame. Not just the walls, but the life. So at 10 a.m., Sylvie arrived with a photographer. She was chic in that effortless French way, more interested in the story than the gossip. As I showed her through the villa, my family scattered to give us space, though I caught them peeking around corners. Whoa, this is remarkable, Sylvie said, admiring the restored frescoes in the main salon. You did this in 6 months. With help from local artisans, I wanted to honor the villa's history while making it sustainable for the future. She took notes as I explained the business model: high-end vacation rentals in the East Wing artist residencies in the converted stables and wine tours through our organic vineyard. The income already exceeded my old corporate salary by 3 times. And you did this while working remotely. Actually, I quit my job 3 months ago to focus on this full-time. Best decision I ever made. May I ask about your background? What prepared you for this? I laughed. Honestly, years of being told I wasn't enough. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you stop trying to meet someone else's standards and start setting your own. The photographer captured the morning light streaming through restored windows while Sylvie asked increasingly personal questions. I found myself opening up about Eleanor, about building something from loss, about choosing creation over bitterness. Your story, it resonates, she said. Many people feel trapped by family expectations. Your villa becomes a metaphor. No, the inheritance transformed from burden to freedom. I never thought of it that way, but yes. We moved to the terrace where my family had naturally gathered, drawn by the scent of Henri's fresh croissants. Sylvie's eyes lit up. This is your American Thanksgiving in France. This is our chosen family Thanksgiving, Grandma Rose corrected. Geography is irrelevant when you're with people who actually want you there. Sylvie seemed to sense a bigger story. May I ask, this is not your complete family. Marcus and I exchanged glances. How much to reveal? No, I said finally. Some family members chose control over connection. We chose each other. Ah, her expression suggested she understood more than we'd said, and the business, it thrives. Look for yourself. I pulled up my laptop, showing her the booking calendar. Every week through next summer was already reserved. The waiting list stretched for pages. Mon Dieu, and the rates. 1,500 euros per night for the full East Wing. The artist residencies are subsidized, only 300 per week. I wanted to give back, create opportunities for people who need space to rebuild. Like you did. Exactly like I did. The photographer suggested some group shots. As we arranged ourselves, Sylvie asked casually, the viral story about Thanksgiving drama, this is connected. The table went quiet. You've seen that? Susan asked. Madame, all of France has seen it. The hashtag does Thanksgiving truth is very popular. People share their own stories of family rejection and finding belonging elsewhere. You've become, how do you say, a symbol? We didn't mean to, I said. The best symbols never do. She studied us thoughtfully. Would you be willing to discuss it? Not the gossip, but the deeper truth. This villa, this success built by someone her family considered a failure, this is powerful. I looked around the table at my chosen family, seeing nods of encouragement. All right, I agreed, but the story isn't about revenge or proving them wrong. It's about what becomes possible when you stop seeking approval from people incapable of giving it. For the next hour, we shared our truth. Not the salacious details, but the deeper narrative. Frank talked about choosing sobriety over family approval. David discussed bringing his authentic self to the table. Marcus explained prioritizing his marriage over his mother's prejudice. And you, Madame Rose, Sylvie asked my grandmother, the matriarch who chose truth over peace. Peace built on lies isn't peace, Grandma said simply. It's just quiet oppression. I spent too many years keeping quiet. This villa, these people, this is what peace really looks like. Messy, honest, and absolutely worth fighting for. The photographer captured it all, our faces, our interactions, the casual intimacy of people who'd stopped performing. When he suggested a shot by the pool, we discovered James had been teaching Mika to swim while we talked. The resulting photo, all of us laughing as the toddler splashed everyone, perfectly captured our dynamic. One more question, Sylvie said as they prepared to leave. Your sister, the one who had the public breakdown, where is she in this story? I chose my words carefully. She's writing her own chapter. When she's ready, there's a place for her here. That's what real family does. We leave the light on. Beautiful. The article will run next week. I think you'll be pleased. After they left, we collapsed around the table, emotionally exhausted. Did we just give an interview to a major newspaper? Linda asked. In France, about our family drama, while drinking champagne at 11 a.m., Frank added. I think we're officially living our best lives. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Jana, this is Dr. Peterson at Morristown Psychiatric. I'm Rachel's attending physician. She's asked me to contact you. She's stable and responding well to treatment. She'd like to schedule a video call when you're available. She says she has something important to tell you. I showed the text to others. Should I? Absolutely, Marcus said. She reached out. That's huge. I responded that I was available whenever worked for Rachel's treatment schedule. Within minutes, Dr. Peterson called. Your sister is making remarkable progress, she said. The involuntary hold has been converted to voluntary admission. She's engaged, honest, and committed to recovery. Whatever happened at that dinner seemed to break through years of denial. That's wonderful news. She's asked to do this call with her therapy group present. She says she needs witnesses for accountability. Is that acceptable? Of course. An hour later, I sat before my laptop, my family arranged behind me for support. The screen filled with a conference room where Rachel sat with 6 other patients and 2 therapists. She looked different. No makeup hair and a simple ponytail, wearing a hospital-issued sweatshirt. She looked younger, real. Hi, Jana, she said, her voice steady. Thank you for taking this call. Of course. How are you? Terrible, she said, then laughed. But honestly, terrible, which is better than perfectly false. The group chuckled supportively. I need to tell you something. The group says accountability requires complete honesty, so here it is. I was planning to ask you for money. That's why I had you as my emergency contact. I figured during a crisis you'd pay to make it go away. The honesty stung, but I appreciated it. Okay. But then I saw the files. Mom's files. There was one on you that... Jana, I need you to know what she wrote. My stomach tightened. Go ahead. She has documentation going back to when you were 8. 8 years old, and she was already strategizing how to manage you. Notes about limiting your opportunities so you wouldn't outshine me. Deliberately scheduling conflicts with your activities. Undermining your friendships. She sabotaged your college applications to keep you local and controllable. The room behind me had gone completely silent. She knew you were gifted, Rachel continued. Knew you could succeed beyond what she could control, so she systematically broke you down while building me up. Not because she loved me more, but because I was more malleable. I feel sick knowing I benefited from your emotional abuse. You were a child too, I said quietly. It wasn't your fault. Maybe not then, but I'm 34 now. I knew something was wrong, and I stayed quiet because I was the beneficiary. She looked directly at the camera. I'm sorry for all of it, for the competitions she created between us, for letting her narrative stand, for choosing comfort over truth. I forgive you, I said and meant it. Don't. Not yet. Let me earn it. She gestured to her group. These people are teaching me about real accountability. It's not just words, it's actions. So here's my action. I'm testifying. Testifying. The police want to press charges against Mom for the stolen documents, medical records, financial information, therapy notes. It's serious. Multiple felonies. I'm agreeing to testify about what I know, including how she obtained some of those documents. Rachel, that's necessary. She's sick, Jana. Not mental health sick like me, but something darker. She needs to face consequences or she'll never stop. I found surveillance equipment in the pool house. She's been recording family members without consent. There are hard drives full of conversations, including some from your villa before you found the cameras. What? Marcus leaned into frame. She was spying on us here. The cameras you disabled were just the obvious ones. She had others, audio devices. I don't know everything yet, but the police tech team is investigating. My blood ran cold thinking of all the private conversations we'd had before Henri's security sweep. There's more, Rachel said. I've been remembering things. Conversations where she'd have information she shouldn't. Now I know how. She's been violating privacy for years, all to maintain control. This is insane, Susan muttered. Yes, Rachel agreed. It is. Our mother is genuinely disturbed, and we were all too deep in the dysfunction to see it. But I see it now, and I'm going to help stop it. One of her group members placed a supportive hand on her shoulder. The gesture was simple but powerful, genuine human connection without agenda. I need to ask you something, Rachel said. When I get out, when I'm stable, could I? She struggled with the words. Could I visit, not to stay, just to see? To maybe learn what family feels like when it's not a performance? Yes, I said immediately. Whenever you're ready. Don't make it too easy on me, she warned. I need to earn trust. The group says entitlement is my biggest character defect. Well, that, and the gambling, and the lying, and... She caught herself and smiled ruefully. I'm a work in progress. We all are, Frank said from behind me. Recovery isn't a destination, it's a journey. But you've taken the hardest step, admitting you need help. Rachel nodded, wiping tears. I should go. Group session starts soon. But Jana, thank you for answering when I called you a failure, for offering me a seat at your table when I've been nothing but awful, for showing me that there's another way to exist in this family. That's what sisters do, I said. Real sisters, the kind we never got to be before. After we hung up, my family sat in stunned silence. The revelations about the surveillance, the systematic sabotage, the depth of my mother's control, it was almost too much to process. She's been recording us, David said slowly, violating our privacy for years. Building files like we're suspects in her personal investigation, Linda added. She's going to prison, Marcus said bluntly. Document theft, privacy violations, probably fraud. This isn't just family dysfunction anymore. It's criminal. My phone rang. Dad. Jana, I'm at the police station. They've arrested your mother. The words even expected still shocked. What happened? They found the surveillance equipment, the stolen documents, financial fraud going back decades. She's been taking out credit cards in family members' names, using the information from her files. Frank, Susan, even you all have fraudulent accounts you don't know about. What? She justified it as managing family resources, said she was protecting everyone's credit by maintaining the accounts, but she was using them running up debts, juggling payments. It's... It's massive, Jana. The detective says it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I put him on speaker so the others could hear. Frank's face had gone white. Susan was already pulling up her credit reports on her phone. I don't understand, Dad continued. How did I not see this? How did I live with someone for 40 years and not know she was this? Because she's very good at hiding, Grandma Rose said loudly. She's been practicing since childhood. I saw signs but told myself I was overreacting. We all did. Is that Mom? Dad asked. We're all here, Robert. The real family. The one Patricia tried to destroy. His voice broke. I don't know what to do. The lawyers, the police, the neighbors. Everyone's asking questions I can't answer. Come here, I said suddenly. Get on a plane and come here. You need distance from this time to process. I can't just leave. Yes, you can, Marcus interrupted. For once in your life, choose yourself over her crisis. Let her lawyers handle it. Let her face the consequences. You come here and figure out who you are without her voice in your ear. But what will people say? The question hung in the air, perfectly illustrating how deep the programming went. They'll say you finally woke up, Susan said. They'll say you chose sanity over chaos. They'll say you did what you should have done years ago. A long pause. Then, what's the address? I'll book a flight. As we ended the call, my phone lit up with notifications. The French newspaper article had published early online. The headline read, American heiress builds new family in Provence after Thanksgiving betrayal. But it wasn't sensationalized. Instead, Sylvie had crafted a thoughtful piece about chosen family reinvention and the price of authenticity. The villa photographs were stunning, showcasing not just the property, but the life we'd built within it. The final image, all of us by the pool, was captioned, The McAllister chosen family celebrates truth over tradition. We're famous in France, Thomas observed. That's actually kind of cool. But the best message came from an unexpected source. Kyle, Rachel's ex, had sent a simple text. Saw the article. Thank you for giving her hope. She was drowning in that family. Maybe now she can learn to swim. As the sun set on our third day together, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold, I stood on the terrace overlooking the vineyard Eleanor had left me. But she'd left me so much more than land and buildings. She'd left me the courage to build something new. My mother was in jail. My father was booking flights. My sister was in treatment. The family I'd grown up in was completely destroyed. And from those ashes, something beautiful was growing, something real, something worth protecting. Something ours. The notification sound on Marcus's phone was different, the specific chime he'd set for military contacts. His face went serious as he read the message. My CO wants to know if I need extended leave given the family crisis that's gone public. Apparently, someone sent him links to all the news coverage. Take it, Grandma Rose said immediately. When will you get another chance to have weeks with your real family? As Marcus typed, his response phones around the table started buzzing. The group chat, the one Rachel had created to expose the truth, had reactivated. But this time, someone new had been added. Oh no, Susan breathed, staring at her screen. Patricia's lawyer joined the chat. Attorney Martin Fitzgerald. Good evening. I represent Patricia McAllister in ongoing criminal matters. I'm documenting all communications for potential civil litigation. Please be advised that any defamatory statements will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. David laughed. He's threatening us in the chat where she exposed her own crimes. Bold strategy. Uncle Frank, Martin, I've known you for 20 years. You really want to tie your reputation to this sinking ship. Attorney Fitzgerald, I'm advising all parties to cease discussing my client publicly. This includes social media interviews and any other forums. Grandma Rose, Martin, with all due respect, go to hell. The chat exploded with reactions. Family members who'd been quiet started speaking up. Cousin Janet, Is this the same Martin Fitzgerald who helped Patricia steal my identity because I just found 3 credit cards I didn't open? Cousin Robert Jr., 4 cards here. My credit is destroyed. Thanks, Aunt Patricia. Great Aunt Helen. She used my deceased husband's information to open accounts. His deceased information. Who does that? The lawyer tried to regain control. Attorney Fitzgerald, these are unsubstantiated allegations that… Rachel. Hi, Martin. Remember me? The daughter who has receipts for everything, including the meeting where you advised Mom on legal gray areas for financial management. Ring any bells? Silence from the lawyer. Rachel, that's what I thought. Here's some free advice, Run. She's going down and you don't want to be under the ship when it sinks. Dad. Martin, this is Robert. I'm filing for divorce and seeking my own counsel. I suggest you focus on Patricia's criminal defense rather than threatening her victims. The chat went wild. Nobody had expected mild-mannered Robert McAllister to publicly declare divorce in the family group chat. Mom, Robert, how dare you discuss our private matters in this forum? Everyone stared at their phones. She was messaging from jail. Mom, this is a temporary misunderstanding. Martin will have me released within hours. Then we'll deal with all of you traitors. Grandma rose. Traitors Patricia, you stole from your own family. You spied on us. You destroyed credit scores and relationships. The only traitor here is you. Mom, I protected this family. Everything I did was to maintain our standing, our reputation. Frank, our standing, I'm in recovery rooms with people who have healthier family dynamics than ours, and some of them are homeless. Mom, you see, this is why I had to manage things. Left to yourselves, you all make terrible decisions. Dating inappropriate people, living beyond your means, failing to present properly. David, by inappropriate people, do you mean my boyfriend the doctor? The one who volunteers at children's hospitals? Mom, you know what I mean. David, yes, I do. You mean anyone you can't control. Anyone who might point out that the Empress has no clothes. Then Rachel dropped a bombshell. Rachel, everyone should check their insurance policies. Mom's been named as beneficiary on several without your knowledge. The implications sent a chill through the room. We all started furiously checking our phones, logging into insurance websites, making calls. She's the beneficiary on my life insurance, Linda gasped. I never authorized this. Mine too, Frank confirmed. Policy was taken out 3 years ago. I had no idea. One by one, family members discovered policies they didn't know existed with Patricia as the sole beneficiary. The scale of her deception was staggering. Attorney Fitzgerald, I need to confer with my client. Please direct all further communications through proper legal channels. He left the chat. Rachel, translation. He just realized he's been enabling a criminal enterprise and needs to distance himself before he's disbarred. Mom, you're all overreacting. I was protecting family assets, ensuring everyone was properly covered. It's called estate planning. Marcus, it's called fraud when you do it without consent. Then Kyle, Rachel's ex, was suddenly added to the chat. Kyle, sorry to intrude, but Rachel asked me to share something. Patricia approached me last month about managing Rachel's share of an inheritance if something happened to her. She wanted me to sign documents. When I refused and filed for divorce, she threatened me. Mom, that's a lie. Kyle, I have the emails, Patricia, including the one where you offered to pay my gambling debts if I stayed married to Rachel and kept quiet about her problems. Rachel, you what? Kyle, I'm sorry, Rach. I should have told you, but she scared me. Said she'd destroy my career, my family. I have the recordings. The chat fell silent as the full picture emerged. Patricia hadn't just controlled her family, she'd tried to control their spouses, their careers, their entire lives. The web of manipulation was so complex, none of us had seen the full pattern until now. Then my phone rang privately, an unknown number with a French prefix. Jana McAllister. This is Inspector Dubois from Interpol. We've been monitoring the situation with your mother. It appears she may have committed financial crimes across international borders. We need to discuss some transactions involving your villa. My blood ran cold. What transactions? It appears someone attempted to take out loans against your French property. The applications were flagged as suspicious. Can you confirm you never authorized such loans? I absolutely did not. The property is in my name alone. As we suspected, we'll be coordinating with American authorities. This has become an international investigation. I returned to the group chat to find it had devolved into chaos. Family members were sharing discoveries, forged documents, unauthorized loans, mysterious transactions. Patricia's criminal enterprise was vast and decades in the making. Dad, I'm at the airport, finding out my entire marriage was built on fraud and deception. I don't even know which memories are real anymore. Grandma rose. The pain is real, Robert. The love we all tried to give was real. Patricia's inability to receive or return it, that's the fraud. Mom, you'll all regret this when I'm released. I have resources you don't know about. Connections, information. Susan, is she seriously threatening us from jail? Rachel, she's not well. I'm in a psych ward and even I can see she's delusional. Then Great Aunt Helen, usually silent in family matters, spoke up. Helen, Patricia, I stayed quiet for 40 years, watched you destroy relationships, manipulate everyone, hurt good people, but using my dead husband's identity. That's desecration. I'm testifying. I'm telling everything I know. What followed was an avalanche. Family members who'd been silent for decades began sharing stories. The aunt who'd been written out of the will after questioning Patricia's methods. The cousin whose wedding Patricia had sabotaged because the bride wasn't suitable. The nephew whose college fund had mysteriously disappeared. Marcus, we need a spreadsheet just to track all her crimes. Thomas, I'm actually making one. We're up to 47 separate incidents across 23 family members. Mom, this is ridiculous. I demand you stop this immediately. But her demands fell on deaf ears. The dam had broken. Truth flowed freely, washing away decades of carefully maintained silence. Then someone new joined the chat. Detective Morrison from the Financial Crimes Unit. Detective Morrison. Good evening. I've been added to this chat as part of our investigation. Please continue sharing information. Everything here is being documented as evidence. Mom immediately left the chat. Did she just flee a crime scene digitally? David asked in amazement. The detective continued, We've frozen multiple accounts and are tracking international transactions. If anyone has information about hidden assets or suspicious financial activity, please contact me directly. The chat became a clearinghouse for financial crimes. Family members shared documents, compared notes, and pieced together a pattern of fraud, so extensive it took everyone's breath away. Rachel, I need everyone to know something. I participated in some of this. She made me co-sign things, had me set up accounts. I thought I was helping with family finances. I'll testify to all of it. The honesty was brutal but necessary. As the hours passed, the full scope of Patricia's empire of deception came to light. She'd stolen identities, forged documents, taken out loans, opened credit cards, and manipulated insurance policies. The total approached $2 million. How did none of us see this? Someone asked. Grandma Rose answered, Because we couldn't imagine it. Normal people don't think like criminals. We assumed family meant safety. She used that assumption against us. As midnight approached in France, the chat finally quieted. The immediate revelations had been shared. Now came the harder work processing the betrayal, rebuilding credit, pursuing justice. Dad, boarding now. I'll be there in 12 hours. Thank you for making room for one more at your table. Marcus, there's always room for people ready to choose truth over comfort. I looked around at my family, exhausted, shocked, but somehow stronger for having faced this together. Tomorrow would bring lawyers, investigators, and more revelations. But tonight we'd stood together and spoken truth into the digital darkness. My phone buzzed with one final message. Rachel, privately, thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. See you on the other side of this mess. Love your sister, the real one, not the performance. I smiled through tears and typed back, see you then. Love your sister who was never a disappointment, just inconvenient to a lie. The group chat would become evidence in criminal proceedings. The messages would be parsed by lawyers, investigators, and eventually jurors. But for us, it had been something more, a digital exorcism of decades of abuse, a collective declaration of independence from one woman's twisted vision of family. In her jail cell, Patricia McAllister sat alone, her empire crumbling with each message sent. She'd wanted to control the narrative. Instead, she'd lost control of everything. 3 days later, we prepared to return home. What had begun as a long weekend had stretched into a week of revelations, but real life beckoned. Jobs needed attention. Kids had school, and there were legal matters requiring presence in the States. The villa buzzed with packing and planning. Henri prepared breakfast boxes for everyone's flights, while I coordinated airport transfers. Despite the chaos of the week, there was a lightness to our movements, the relief of truth told and bonds strengthened. I don't want to leave, Marie's daughter Sophia said, hugging me tightly. Can't we just stay here forever? You can come back anytime, I promised. Summer break, holidays, whenever you want. This is your home too now. My father had arrived 2 days earlier, looking like a ghost of himself. The man who'd driven senior executives through corporate mergers seemed lost facing his own life's hostile takeover. But 48 hours of Henry's cooking, Grandma Rose's straight talk, and the family's acceptance had begun restoring color to his cheeks. I filed the papers, he told me over morning coffee. Divorce, restraining order, forensic accounting. My lawyer says the financial crimes alone will take years to untangle. How are you holding up? He considered the question seriously, a new habit he'd developed, actually thinking before responding, instead of delivering Patricia-approved sound bites. I'm discovering who I am, what I actually think, what I want. It's terrifying and liberating. He paused. I'm proud of you, Jana. You saw through it all and built this. I was too much of a coward to protect you from her, but you protected yourself. We all did what we could with what we knew at the time. I said, meaning it. Marcus emerged from the villa, phone in hand, expression grim. We have a problem. Mom made bail. The cheerful morning atmosphere evaporated. How? Susan demanded. The judge said no bail. Different judge, emergency hearing. Her new lawyer argued she's not a flight risk because of community ties. She's on house arrest with an ankle monitor, but she's out. The community that now knows she stole from them, Frank said incredulously. Rich people jail, David muttered. Different rules. I immediately thought of Rachel, still in treatment, still fragile. Does Rachel know? The facility is on alert. They've increased security. Marcus showed us a message from Dr. Peterson. They're taking it seriously. We loaded into the airport vans with a new tension. The week that had felt like a breakthrough suddenly seemed like just the beginning of a longer battle. At Nice Airport, we discovered Patricia's reach extended further than we'd imagined. Airport security pulled me aside for additional screening. Then Susan. Then Marcus. This is harassment, Frank declared as they selected him too. The security supervisor, a no-nonsense woman named Claudette, reviewed their screens with increasing frustration. Who placed these flags? She demanded of her team. There's no valid reason. She stopped staring at something on her computer. Excusez-moi, please wait. She returned with her manager and 2 police officers. We apologize for the inconvenience, the manager said. It appears someone attempted to file false security reports on your entire party. This is a crime. Would you like to file charges? Add it to the list, Marcus said wearily. Claudette personally escorted us through security, muttering in French about people who waste security resources. Your mother, yes, she asked me quietly. I see the name on the false reports. Patricia McAllister. She is not well in the head. No, I agreed. Not well at all. The flight home was subdued. Everyone checked their phones obsessively worried about what Patricia might do with her temporary freedom. The family group chat had gone silent after the detective joined, but a new one had formed, Patricia Free Zone, where we shared updates and concerns. Then, as we flew over the Atlantic, the situation exploded. Thomas was monitoring social media when he gasped, "Oh my God, look at this!" He showed us his phone. Someone had posted security footage from the jail showing Patricia screaming at guards demanding special treatment, threatening to destroy everyone who'd betrayed her. The footage was time-stamped from that morning just after her release. Who posted this? Linda asked. Account called Truth About Patricia. Look at the other posts. The account was a treasure trove of documentation. Emails where Patricia discussed her schemes, audio recordings of her threatening people, financial documents showing the scope of her fraud. Someone with inside access was systematically destroying her. Then came the revelation. The account bio read, "For 40 years I enabled a monster. Now I'm making amends. Martin." Her lawyer, Susan exclaimed, "He's exposing everything." The posts kept coming throughout our flight. Martin Fitzgerald, attorney at law, was committing professional suicide to take Patricia down. Each revelation was worse than the last. She'd been planning to flee the country, had hidden assets in offshore accounts, had taken out life insurance policies on family members without their knowledge. "There's one on me," David said, face pale as he read. $500,000. Took it out 2 years ago. Mine's for $1 million, Marcus added grimly. Apparently, military members are worth more dead. By the time we landed at JFK, Dark Truth about Patricia was trending. News outlets had picked up the story. New Jersey socialite accused of massive family fraud ran on every local channel. We collected our luggage in a daze, trying to process how our family drama had become a national scandal. As we headed toward the exit, a wall of reporters waited. "Jana, how does it feel to expose your mother's crimes?" "Mr. McAllister, are you really divorcing after 40 years? Is it true she tried to poison family members for insurance money?" "That's a new one," Frank muttered. "Poison!" Airport security helped us push through to our cars. The ride home was surreal, passing familiar places that felt foreign after our week in France. Everything looked the same, but we'd all changed. My phone rang. Rachel. "Did you land safely?" she asked. "Just did. Are you okay? We heard Mom made bail." "I'm safe. This place is like Fort Knox now. But Jana, I need to tell you something. Martin didn't just have a crisis of conscience. I've been talking to him, feeding him information, helping him build the case." "Rachel, that's dangerous." "No, it's necessary. She destroyed his career by involving him in her crimes. He's got nothing left to lose, and I've got nothing left to hide. Together, we're making sure she can't hurt anyone else." The social media posts, all him. I just provided the receipts. 40 years of receipts. She paused. "I know I'm supposed to focus on my recovery, not revenge. But this isn't revenge. It's justice. And justice is part of recovery, right?" "Right," I agreed, though I worried about her emotional state. "There's more coming," she warned. "Martin has everything. Every scheme, every lie, every crime. By tomorrow, the whole world will know exactly who Patricia McAllister really is." As we hung up, I wondered if we were witnessing justice or destruction. Maybe they were the same thing when it came to someone like my mother. My apartment felt strange after the villa's warmth. I walked through rooms that had once been my sanctuary, seeing them differently now. This had been my hiding place where I'd made myself small enough to avoid my mother's notice. but I didn't need to hide anymore. I video called the villa. Henri answered the kitchen behind him, already preparing for the next guests. "The house misses you already, madame," he said warmly. "When do you return?" "Soon, I promised. Very soon." Because that was the truth I'd discovered in France. Home wasn't a place or a bloodline or a name on a deed. Home was where people saw you clearly and loved you anyway, where truth was spoken even when it hurt, where family meant showing up, not showing off. My phone buzzed with a message from Marcus. "Emergency family meeting tomorrow. My house, Patricia free zone only. We need a plan." I smiled at the designation. Patricia free zone. It had a nice ring to it. Outside my window, New Jersey sprawled in all its complicated glory. Somewhere in this state, my mother sat in her house, a rest, probably plotting her next move. Somewhere Rachel was facing her demons in a therapeutic community. Somewhere my father was learning to sleep alone after 40 years. But also somewhere a family was reforming, scarred but stronger, broken but building, free from the tyranny of one woman's twisted love. I pulled up flight schedules to Nice. Henri was right, I would return soon. But first, there was work to do here. Justice to support, truth to tell, family to rebuild. The week in France had been our Declaration of Independence. Now came the harder part, figuring out what to do with our freedom. 6 months later, Easter Sunday dawned bright and clear over Provence. The villa's gardens burst with spring flowers, lavender beginning to bloom, roses climbing the ancient walls, and the vineyard showing fresh green growth, but the real beauty was the controlled chaos inside. "Mika, no, that's not food." Keiko laughed, chasing her toddler who discovered the decorative eggs were actually filled with candy. "Let her have one," Grandma Rose called from her favorite chair on the terrace. "It's Easter. Calories don't count on holidays." At 92 pounds lighter, both physically and emotionally, Rachel emerged from the kitchen, carrying a tray of Henri's hot cross buns. She'd been living at the villa for 2 months now, helping me run the business while continuing her recovery work. "The bread lady in the village says these aren't traditional," she announced. I told her nothing about our family is traditional anymore. Meant to that," Frank agreed, raising his coffee cup. The dining table had been extended to its maximum length to accommodate our growing chosen family. Beyond the original Thanksgiving refugees, we'd added partners, friends, and even some former clients of Rachel's who'd become friends during her recovery. Thomas documented everything with his professional camera, having quit his corporate job to become our official family photographer and social media manager. Our Instagram account? The Real McAllisters had over 300,000 followers watching our journey of rebuilding. Okay, everyone, Easter egg hunt starts in 10 minutes, Marcus announced. He'd extended his leave twice and was now considering early retirement to help manage the villa's growing artist residency program. Adults compete against kids this year. Losers do dishes. "That's not fair," David protested. "The kids are faster and closer to the ground." "Sounds like a you problem." His 12-year-old nephew shot back, earning high fives from the other children. I stepped into the garden to check on the final preparations and found my father deep in conversation with Henri about composting techniques. The corporate executive who'd once lived for PowerPoints now found joy in soil pH levels and organic farming. He'd moved into the villa's guest house permanently after the divorce finalized. "The tomatoes are responding well to the new mixture," he was saying. "I think we can expand the vegetable garden by 30% next season." "You've become quite the farmer, Robert," I said. He smiled, a genuine expression that had taken months to rediscover. "Turns out I like growing things more than managing hostile takeovers. Who knew?" Rachel appeared at my elbow. "Group chat's going crazy. Want to see..." The Patricia Free Zone chat had evolved into our primary communication channel. Today, it buzzed with Easter greetings from family members who couldn't make it to France. but there was bigger news. Cousin Janet. Judgment came through full restitution plus damages. My credits being restored. Uncle Pete. Same here. My lawyer says the criminal trial starts next month. 27 counts of fraud and counting. Susan. She took a plea deal. 15 years minimum. It's really over. I stared at the words. 15 years. My mother would be in her 80s when she got out if she lived that long. The woman who'd controlled our lives through fear and manipulation would spend her remaining years controlled by the state. How do you feel? Rachel asked softly. Relieved, sad, free. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, clear-eyed present, 40 pounds healthier than her gambling days. Grateful you made it out. Barely, she admitted, but I did. We did. A squeal of laughter drew our attention. Mika had chocolate on every visible surface, while James patiently tried to clean her face. The scene was messy, imperfect, and absolutely beautiful. Places everyone, Marcus called. Egg hunt begins now. What followed was cheerful chaos. Adults abandoned dignity to dive under bushes. Children formed strategic alliances. Grandma Rose directed operations from her chair mysteriously, knowing where the good eggs were hidden. Behind the rosemary, David. No, your other left. Well, Grandma, that's cheating. It's not cheating, it's experience. I've been finding hidden things in this family for 78 years. As the hunt wound down and we tallied scores, the kids won. Obviously, Thomas gathered us for a group photo. 4 generations arranged themselves on the villa's steps, a far cry from the stiff-posed portraits of our past. Everyone say freedom, he called. Freedom. We chorused, and in that moment, we meant it. Later, as we feasted on Henry's elaborate Easter dinner, Susan raised her glass for a toast. To second chances, to chosen family, to the truth that sets us free. To Eleanor, I added, who saw this future before any of us could imagine it. To recovery, Rachel contributed, the daily choice to be real instead of perfect. To showing up, Marcus said, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. One by one, each person added their toast, to healing, to justice, to gardens both literal and metaphorical, to the courage of starting over. To Patricia, Grandma Rose said, finally surprising everyone, may her imprisonment free her as much as it's freed us. We drank to that complicated truth. As the evening wound down, I found myself on the terrace. Eleanor had loved watching my family chosen and biological create new memories. Children performed an impromptu talent show. Adults shared stories that would have been forbidden at Patricia's table. Laughter came easily, naturally, without the edge of performance anxiety. My phone buzzed with a notification. The French newspaper was doing a follow-up story this time about the villa's success as a healing retreat. We'd accidentally created something beyond a vacation rental. People came here to rebuild, to recover, to find themselves after family trauma. Aunt Jana, Sophia, appeared beside me. Mom wants to know if we can stay an extra week. She says the Wi-Fi's good enough for her to work remotely. You can stay as long as you like, I assured her. All of you. That's what family homes are for. She hugged me and ran back to the party. I remained on the terrace, breathing in the scent of lavender and listening to the people I loved create joy from the ashes of our shared pain. Rachel joined me holding 2 cups of Henry's impossibly strong coffee. I've been thinking, she said, about this place, about what you've built. It's not just a business or even a home. It's proof. Proof of what? That we were never the problem. We were never too much or not enough or whatever story she sold us. We were just people trying to bloom in toxic soil, transplant us somewhere healthy, and look what happens. I thought about the villa's garden, how Henri had to completely replace the soil in some beds before anything would grow. Sometimes you couldn't fix what was poisoned. You had to start fresh. We should write about it, Rachel continued. Really write about it. Not just social media posts, but the whole story. Other people need to know it's possible to break free, build something new. A book. Why not former golden child and family scapegoat team up to expose generational trauma and build a healing empire? I'd read that. I laughed, but the idea had merit. Our story had resonated with hundreds of thousands online. How many more could we help by sharing the full journey? Let's get through the criminal trial first, I suggested. Then we'll see. Fair enough, but I'm starting an outline. Chapter 1, the Thanksgiving text that changed everything. As night fell over Provence, our Easter celebration continued. No one checked the time or worried about tomorrow's obligations. We'd learned that presence mattered more than schedules, that messy truth beat perfect lies every time. Hey, Marcus called from the doorway. Dad's about to tell the story of how he tried to milk a goat this morning. You don't want to miss this. I followed him inside where my father was indeed regaling everyone with his agricultural mishap. The man who'd once commanded boardrooms now found joy in self-deprecating farm stories. Growth looked different for everyone. So there I was confident I'd watched enough YouTube videos. The room erupted in laughter before he even reached the punchline. This was our new tradition, stories shared without fear of judgment, mistakes celebrated as humanity, rather than hidden as shame. My phone lit up with one final message of the day. Dr. Peterson, Rachel's therapist from the facility, saw the family photos online. The healing in those images is profound. Thank you for showing that recovery is possible not just for individuals, but for entire family systems. Your story gives others hope. Hope, such a simple word for such a complex journey. But as I looked around the room at these people who'd chosen truth over comfort, authenticity over approval, I knew she was right. We were living proof that hope wasn't just possible, it was powerful. Jana, someone called. Rachel's about to arm wrestle. Thomas Loser has to sing karaoke. I put away my phone and rejoined my family. My real family, the one we'd built from scratch in the ruins of what we'd escaped. Patricia McAllister had wanted a peaceful Thanksgiving without complications or challenges. Instead, her exclusion had given us something priceless, the freedom to stop performing and start living, the permission to fail, to grow, to change, the gift of discovering who we really were when no one was keeping score. Tomorrow, we'd return to the work of healing, growing, and building. The artist residency had 3 new participants arriving. The vineyard needed tending. Rachel had recovery meetings. Dad had goats to unsuccessfully milk. But tonight, we celebrated the greatest gift of all, each other. Messy, imperfect, recovering, real. The family we'd chosen. The table we'd built. The home we'd created in the space between loss and hope. In her prison cell thousands of miles away, Patricia had exactly what she'd always wanted: complete control over her environment. No messy relationships to manage, no one to challenge her narrative. She was finally, truly, peacefully alone. And we had each other, forever and always, no matter what. The villa's walls, which had sheltered Eleanor's dreams and then mine, now held the laughter of children who knew they were loved unconditionally. The rooms that had echoed with my solitary footsteps now overflowed with the cheerful chaos of family. Real family, the kind you choose every day, not because blood demands it, but because love allows it. As the Easter celebration continued into the night, I made a mental note to call the contractor. We needed to expand the dining room again. Our table kept growing, and everyone who showed up as themselves would always have a seat. That was our new tradition. Not exclusion, but inclusion. Not perfection, but presence. Not control, but connection. And it was beautiful. Thank you for joining our journey from rejection to redemption. If you've ever felt excluded from your own family's table, know that you're not alone. Sometimes the greatest gift toxic people can give us is their absence. It creates space for authentic connections to grow. Have you ever had to choose between family approval and personal truth? Share your story in the comments below. Let's build a community of those who've learned that real family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when life gets messy. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more content about breaking generational patterns and building chosen families. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're not too much or not enough. They're exactly right for the people who truly matter. Remember, your worth isn't determined by someone else's capacity to see it. Keep building your own table. The right people will find their way to it.